ability to fight off the bacteria. Public Health Director Teresa Arreola said in a statement that the disease is treatable and can be controlled. Reporting for the Marianas Business Journal, The Wave 105 and Power 98, I'm Skylar Obispo.
Political status impacts almost every aspect of our lives on Guam, but many are unaware of our right to self-determination and decolonization. What does it mean and how can it improve our quality of life? Join the conversation, ask some questions, and learn more about your right to self-determination and the 3 legitimate political status options for Guam. Tune in to Challenge the Status Quo every Monday from 10 a.m. to noon on Wave 105.1 FM, presented in partnership with the Mission on Decolonization and Glimpses Media.
Are you planning a trip to the Philippines? Why not come back feeling healthier and more rejuvenated? At the Medical City, we offer world-class healthcare services, including comprehensive executive checkups and top-tier aesthetic treatments for as low as $530. Imagine lounging on white sandy beaches, shopping at top-tier shopping centers, and indulging in premium healthcare all in one vacation. Book your getaway now and experience the best of both worlds. The Medical City, your trusted partner in health.
Hafa Adai Guam. Yep, it's me, the Guam Guy. And you can catch episodes of my podcast, The Guam Guy Show, not only on YouTube and Spotify, but every Friday at 11 a.m. on Wave 105 FM.
Jack here. My bonus Jack combo starting at $5.99 comes with fries, a drink, and a burger with 1, 2, or 3 patties. It's a meal that'll actually make you happy. Starting at $5.99. Get so much more. Welcome to Jack in the Box. Plus tax. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary.
Hafa Adai Guausi Pali Suba. Don't forget to catch The Bright Side every weekday afternoon from 2 to 6 on Wave 105. From big laughs to big issues, if it's happening on island, we're breaking it down with island leaders, business owners, and you. I want to send so much love to our sponsors, Micropack, Local Jerk, GTA, Sherwin-Williams Paint, Chili's, and Subway. Take a break from all of that shade and join the bright side on Wave 105.
Every company needs money for investments to help grow a working capital to take on today's economy. That's why Bank Pacific's commercial loan officers stand ready to help you. We offer several programs tailored to assist companies to get to the next step, or perhaps for a startup, including working with SBA and GITA. Bank Pacific. And we want to be your partner. Equal opportunity lender. Credit conditions apply.
6 o'clock to 8 o'clock every Friday evening. Join Rand and Jenny Kaufman for The Edge of Heaven, a talk show to take you to the 5th dimension where you find out who you are. What is the purpose of your life? How can your purpose be fulfilled? What motivates you to do what you do? What are you searching for? What keeps you going in your day-to-day life? What is real? Why do you care? Why do you work? Why do you love? Sponsored by Burger King, Jay Goodman, and Smoojow Community School.
Here's Energy in 15. Quick power facts from GPA.
You can do more than pay your bill online. With paygpa.com and our mobile app, you can manage your account, set up autopay, and go paperless anytime, anywhere.
And here's another tip from GPA.
Sign up for GPA Power Alerts to get outage updates sent directly to your phone or inbox. Simply text ENROLL to 1-855-252-9998 and stay connected.
Energy in 15 is brought to you by Guam Power Authority.
Have you tried all 19 Subway Series sandwiches? All crafted to crave, the Subway Series celebrates Subway's over 60 years of expertise in sandwich making. From flavorful cheesesteaks and chicken subs to delicious Italianos, mouth-watering clubs, and the high-protein deli heroes, the Subway Series delivers maximum crave factor with a perfect combination of choice meats, cheeses, fresh and hand-sliced veggies, freshly baked breads, and signature sauces. The Subway Series is curated from hundreds of chef-inspired recipes to earn a coveted spot on the Subway Series menu. Get what you're craving for today at Subway. You gotta refresh to be fresh.
Feeling good, getting things done. Wave 105 FM.
Okay, we're doing that on a Wednesday. forget the hump day.
Girl, we are
We're not.
swinging
We're
on
over the
Wednesday.
hump, apparently. Yes, I'll have a scotch on the rocks. So that's what it sounds like. I'll have a neat. What do they call it? What is that drink?
A neat.
You know when they call it a neat? Does that mean it has no ice? I don't drink whiskey.
Okay. I don't
know, but like I'll have a something, the 20,000-year-old scotch. Neat.
No,
I'm
we
like,
just
oh,
call
that
them
sounds so
around.
sexy. If I knew what you were talking about.
That's cute. Y'all
Like
call them
me.
neat stuff? No, we just say, give me a round. That's
Oh,
that's all.
well,
Sorry, we
then
just
you're
call-
getting like
yeah, we
what?
just, give me a round. But we don't say the word neat. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's for the
dirty.
sophisticated jazz
Yeah,
going
see, that's
crowd.
not
I think that's where we don't fit in, which is why I don't know what the word means.
We don't be
But
on
I've
that.
heard that before. I'll have it neat, and I'm like, I would have mine dirty and messy. I want it all.
2 rounds of messy something, I'll be ratchet after that. Ain't nothing neat after 2 rounds of Crown, girl. I
Oh,
can promise
God.
you that. We ain't neat. We
Ain't
messy,
neat.
making bad choices and singing horribly. That's what we do.
That's why jazz is around to stop people from singing.
You are.
There are no
that's what
words
it
in
is?
jazz.
I knew it.
And here's
see?
the other question: I dare you to play that song again? Because it doesn't turn out the second time either. Where are we, in a nightclub?
We're not.
I'm here for it.
We are going to go on to
Bring
the
it
phones.
to. Are we doing this? All right, Lisa, right? You said. Okay, we're jumping right in. Hey, Lisa.
Hi, Hafa Adai, Patti. Good
Hi.
morning.
Good morning.
Well, since one of my friends knows that I always listen to your show, I'm the radio girl.
Okay.
They know me for that.
All
so
right.
I'm actually calling on October 15 is White Cane Safety Day. So I would like to thank the front office for always being so accommodating for the blind to have that proclamation. So,
what front office?
The governor's office.
Okay, got it.
Yes. I'm always thankful for them being accommodating to us. So I'm calling, encouraging all my friends, all who are blind, to come out for the White Cane Safety Day proclamation at 10:30 at Adeloop. And it would be good to see everyone there. So I'm just calling, especially for those who are bus riders. Today is the day that we can make schedule for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm calling it in.
Okay. Wait a minute. You're making your schedule for paratransit today?
We have to make it 14 days in advance.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, because if we make it sometimes even later today or tomorrow, they could tell us, you know what, I'm sorry, but we're not able to give you that ride.
Why?
So it's
Why?
a chance that we have to take. So
Why?
That's why I'm calling it early. I'm calling it early so that people can put it on their calendars and
Why
hopefully
can't they
be
take
there.
it? What, do they have like a line of people in the next 14 days that are trying to get on the bus at the same time?
Well, right now, from what I heard, there's only 4 buses running.
Oh,
up
we're still
now.
on that. Okay, I get you now, Lisa. We're still on that same from the phone call
Yes,
you gave me
still,
a couple of
you
weeks
know,
ago. Did you get
still
it?
in that kind of mess, but because they want us to make schedule in advance, so that's why I'm calling, because there's a few of us that do take the bus. So
Okay, can I back up here a second? Have you received any updated information about this from GRTA, about the bus situation and what the schedule's looking like? Any of it? Has anybody responded to anything?
no, when we call to make a schedule, you're fortunate if you get in, and if you don't get in, then they just blame it on the buses. But to me, this is an ongoing problem since I've been riding in 2004. So, yeah.
Well,
but, I'm just going to, stay positive and thankful every time I do get a ride.
Well, I tell you, as a bus rider since 2004, I think that the patience kind of runs thin, and you shouldn't always be hopeful to get a ride. if the system doesn't work for you. It doesn't make any sense. What doesn't even make further sense is that we've blitzed this on the radio a couple of weeks ago and have made many attempts to get a hold of somebody who could at least tell us what the problem is so that we can at least pass on to, the consumers what's happening with the bus and how long that's going to take. But so far, they've been largely unresponsive.
For myself, I've been an advocate for transit. I've been involved in the bus fare and the bus focus fare group and scheduling group, and for me, the way I look at it for myself is I do have to be hopeful because it's my ride when my loved ones are not available, and I'm truly thankful as much as all its problems, but it is something that I do have to be hopeful because there are some states that don't have this kind of service, especially those in the outskirt areas and stuff, and so I just take things day by day, and I'm just waiting for the next transit meeting where us riders can assemble and try to tell them what's going on to better transit, because yes, it does test our patience, but we got to handle things in a well-mannered way and work with them and try to be a part of the solution.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely commend your patience and your ability to hope for the best. I think that we live on an island where we do have to try to pull together when things are wrong. But I'm just saying, from my point of view, maybe not yours, and I'm not trying to incite the community. I'm saying that if I'm doing my part to try to get an answer and you ghost me, then I have a problem. I'm not likely to be as generous as you and say, well, other people are in a bad situation. Absolutely they are, but we're still in a bad situation, right?
And part of it, too, is I'm going to admit here is that sometimes it's the people that's put in place, whether it's scheduler, dispatch, drivers, whoever's handling. Sometimes they don't know what to do, or they're not listening to advice on how to do things.
All right.
So that's, it is hard, and it's a tough situation.
Well, good luck to you. But I appreciate the fact that you're alerting those particular bus riders that you got to make your reservation as early as you can. It sounds like, right? Because
yes, for those that are on paratransit, and one of the things I always advocate and I look forward to the meeting is with all that's going on with prices of gas and everything, and people needing to rely on public transit as well as para, is we needed to go 7 days a week.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and different things like that. But yeah.
All right, Lisa. Point taken. I'll. The most I can do is drop another line and hope that somebody pays attention, because so far that's not happened. But good luck to you, and thank you for letting us know.
Patti.
It's
Appreciate
my pleasure.
it.
All right, take good care.
Okay.
All right.
You too. Bye-bye.
You're welcome, and bye-bye. I honestly always have had a problem with that. I can understand when things fall apart and things aren't going well. I get it, but that's not the point. There's got to be a reasonable amount of communication that has to happen with your, with your customer base. Otherwise, everybody's, subject to criticize, and do so publicly. These guys are really nuts. Okay, then. Anyway, so okay, things are busy. Oh no, it's okay. I see you guys playing around with wires. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Who's on the phone?
We got Jess on too.
Jess, good morning, Jess.
Hey, good morning, Patti.
Good morning.
Happy Wednesday.
Yep, indeed.
Wednesday.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, I I was going to buy a house in Manila, but I changed my mind because this water pipe is inside the property.
Wait, what?
Waterworks. Waterworks pipe.
Oh, you were gonna buy a house.
I was gonna buy a house, but I changed my mind because the water pipe is in that property.
Oh, okay. And what? And it can't be fixed?
It could be, but you have to relocate it.
So it's going to cost more money, is what you're saying?
I know.
Yeah.
I know it's going to cost.
Yeah.
I know things are not cheap now these days,
Mm-hmm.
And, they have a problem in Zigo, but in this area it's going to be a problem because about, they build they're going to build 12 houses.
Where's this at exactly? Is it around the new hospital area?
In Manila.
Is it around the new hospital area?
No, this is my, that's further, that's the back row.
Where are you at?
That's the back. I'm right here in the center, maybe next to cemetery.
Oh, so you're going to have to do, are they saying that you have to do
I did report that, but
yeah.
I got the names, I reported to the dispatcher. First of all, I messaged CCU.
Mm-hmm.
I took, I sent them share a photo, video.
Yeah.
But no response. But getting close to go to the next one, like value.
Okay.
But maybe I understand it's inside, and the way I look at this area, the driveway, the pipes underneath the driveway, and they're going to break that concrete. I don't know how they're going to deal with private owners.
Mm.
So it's reported, but I'm just gonna.
So are you going
to that on the ways?
Are you going to go look for another house somewhere else then?
I guess so, because I'm not gonna. I know that something leaks there.
Yeah.
It's gonna ruin my foundation.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it, Jess, is that you are very fortunate in that you are able to. You have the resources to buy a home right now. That's actually fantastic.
Yeah, because the increased rate is going down because Trump is harassing that. I don't know who's that guy.
Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
They lowered the interest
Or
rate.
if you don't lower it, you'll fire in a heartbeat.
I think that's kind of the idea, was to sort of jumpstart more people to take out more credit and try to get some kind of relief. Which it sounds like you're taking advantage of that, right? That's what you're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure,
Good
sure.
for you. Good for you. Well, congratulations on at least being in the zone. Some people are not anywhere close to being in the zone.
I don't know. You just gotta save up. You just gotta just not rely on that loan that you borrow. I got some. I got half of it.
Good for you.
For that amount.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah.
And I'm just letting you know. Maybe they call you up.
Well, that's nice.
I'm reporting that to the waves 105.
Okay.
Point one.
Thanks, Jess. Good luck with the. I hope that
No, but if you mention that, they're sure they're going to get your attention. And I know you, Patti. You make things work.
Oh, golly! Now that you said that,
I know.
Maybe it will. I don't know what
I know because I heard a lot of people calling in Zigo.
Oh well.
And
Yeah.
I got a land there, but I'm going to build there. Because there's a problem there.
Right. Well, I hope that they respond to you. It sounds.
No, they don't have to respond to me. I'm just letting them know that there's a problem. There's going to be a problem in the long run, because the owners will start complaining, and they're going to break their driveway. They're going to fix that leak, repair that pipe, whatever.
That's what that's the.
And Patti, if you got a pipe inside your property, you're just going to leave it, or you're going to have it taken out?
Well, I mean, if it's gonna cause damage, I have to weigh out whether or not that it's worth it. But if
Oh, okay.
if I'm already living there and there's a problem with my water line and I have to dig up my
No. But what I'm saying is, if he leaks and you cannot tell it's leaking, he's gonna ruin your foundation.
Oh,
you got
I
a
see.
two-story house, right?
No, I don't have a 2-story house.
Oh, okay.
No.
I'm just guessing, huh?
Yeah.
In Kamuni, everything I go around 2 stories.
Oh, okay.
Kamuni is nice place to live on. But you're having a water outage sometimes. Because I don't.
Have a water outage. No, I can't say that I do.
Okay. No, where the same. The only thing when we don't have water is the pipe broke.
Yeah.
So thanks, Patty, and
you're welcome.
I'm gonna hear from you.
Yeah. Okay. I hope so.
I'm gonna be listening, huh?
Okay. I hope so. Thanks a lot. Have a good day. Okay. All right.
Hey, nice talking to you again.
Nice talking to you too, Jess. Thanks so much. Early in the morning. It's 6:31 already. The phones are active, and we're
Lisa
not mad
came
at
back.
that.
Sorry.
Lisa's back. Okay. Hey, Lisa.
Hi, Patty.
Hi.
I just wanted, to say that, the transit people are doing their best, but I also wanted to let you know that if I do hear of any meetings for transit, for the riders and all that, any board meeting, can I have your number or email so that maybe you can, come and join us for the meeting, or if it's on Zoom, watch it with us, because, I see that you're in support of us.
Always.
Our fighters, and I'd like to reach out to you, and I appreciate you.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. You know who has my number? Jason.
Okay, yes. He's a good friend of mine.
Yes, great. He has my number, and he texts me every once in a while when things are, upsetting him, and I'm happy to check into these things.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So I will communicate then with him. And
Perfect.
Is it okay to get your number?
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
When is White Cane Safety Day? By the way, you said it was October. Was it 14th?
15th at 10:30 a.m. at Adelup.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm thankful for the governor and the LT for accommodating us as well as their staff.
Sure. I'm sure you are. Lisa, thanks.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bottom of the hour. We're going to take a break here and come around the other side with Polly's Perspectives here on a Wednesday. It's October 1st, everybody. We'll be right back. All right. Okay. I saw those guys back there like messing with wires, and now suddenly nothing works. It's all right. We'll see. Just get me back on the air, and we'll do what we can to keep the show running. Good morning to you. Yesterday, by the way, I got a phone call. Oh, not a phone call. I got a message leading me to an opinion that was written by Congresswoman Madeleine Berdallo. I got to go find it. But this opinion piece that she wrote had everything to do with the tyranny comment that was made by Senator Chris Duenas yesterday or day before yesterday, where he was complaining that this administration has demonstrated over the years tyrannical behavior and with authoritarian, tones, and how they are governing the island, and it really was a sort of an alarming. Should I say alarming? Yeah, it was, because it really got a lot of people's eyes open. But it was a statement that he made when he was talking about the override of the budget veto, and we were making the point that he was characterizing this override as a finally take back by the legislature, from an administration that has operated with an iron fist over the past 7 years, 6 years, 7 years. And it was, it's a strong word to use. We called it weighty because it was just an opinion that the override of this veto shows that there is solidarity in this legislature to end tyrannical behavior. When I was trying to point out that it seemed like an overreach to call it tyranny when you're talking about the override of a veto, considering that's standard checks and balances in this structure of these three branches of government. They all check each other. The legislature checks on and checks the administration, and it all goes around in that big circle of three. So it seemed like a pretty, I guess it was weighty word, because there wasn't anything about this override or anything that I could see in this administration that would suggest that there is a sweeping, broad, political definition that matches the era of tyranny being over with this override simply of the budget. And I was trying to point out yesterday that tyranny clearly is used. It's designed to delegitimate their political opponents, like the governor, for example. The thing about it is you see what tyranny looks like in the way that the rule of law is carried out and how we handle minority rights, how you handle media freedoms, and how you handle just independent oversights. And we have seen this demonstrate itself in the Trump administration, which is the point I was trying to drive home yesterday, that is not nearly anywhere how this government has been treating its constituents. So I guess Madeline Bordallo got word of it all the way in Washington, and she wrote an opinion on it today, in today's newspaper, but it came out yesterday. She says, and I'll read it because it is an opinion coming from somebody who is definitely in the know. As someone who has served in the Guam legislature and as Ricky's partner in a life dedicated to public service, I know well that partisanship and principle often lead to passionate political disagreements. In those days, we argued fiercely over ideas and priorities, but there were still boundaries of respect. Words like tyranny were not thrown carelessly into the debate. That word carried too much weight for our generation. It was not an abstract talking point or a clever political barb. It was the lived experience of our friends, our neighbors, and in many cases, our families. Tyranny was the Japanese occupation of Guam, when families were forced from their homes, when people marched barefoot to camps in Jigo and Menengun, when farmers were beaten for keeping food for their children, and when innocent men and women were executed or brutalized for acts of quiet resistance. Tyranny was fear, hunger, and violence suffered daily by those who endured those years. That is why I find it troubling to see the word tyranny used today in the context of a budget debate. Senator Chris Duenas is free to call his opponents names. He's free to declare himself the lone savior of the oppressed. That freedom is not tyranny. It is democracy. It is the very system we inherited because others before us fought and died to free this island from real oppression. While I applaud the passion my colleague brings to his convictions, I would urge him and all of us not to let passion blind us as to who we are or what we've been through. Words matter. They carry history. And if we are to honor the sacrifices of the generation that lived through tyranny, then let us not cheapen their suffering with careless comparisons. In this democratic republic, disagreement is an inevitable part of the process. That is not tyranny. That is freedom. And for that, we should give thanks. Madeline Bordallo weighs in from all the way in Washington on that a little bit of a controversy. Are we good now? Yes. All right, here we go with the break. We'll be right back. Hey, at Wave 105 FM, we want to talk. We want to talk about the things that are important to our island and our community, and we want to talk with you. If you want to join the conversation, if you want to chime in, we welcome it. We welcome all points of view, all thoughts, all perspectives. Call or WhatsApp us at 671-922-1051. If that line is busy, then call us at 922-1052. This is Talk for Everyone. Thanks for listening to Wave 105 FM, the Talk of Guam.
One pill can kill. Fake pills often contain fentanyl. It only takes 2 milligrams of fentanyl, equivalent to a few grains of salt, to be lethal. Fake pills are often sold on social media platforms, making them available to anyone with a smartphone.
Talk early and often to youth about the dangers of misusing prescription drugs and the lethal dangers of counterfeit drugs laced with fentanyl.
Stay informed, stay safe. One pill can kill.
This public service announcement is brought to you by the radio stations of Glimpses Media Group, Wave 105 FM, and Power 98.
We're excited to announce that we're hiring for a variety of positions with some of Guam's most recognized and respected brands, including Coca-Cola, Foremost, Chili's, Glimpses of Guam, Subway, Good to Go, and Cinnabon. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take the next step in your career, there's something here for everyone. Explore current opportunities and apply today at applynowguam.com. Your next great opportunity is just a click away.
Hafa Adai, Guam. Good morning and welcome back. Your local headlines for you right now. It's Skylar Obispo here on the Wave 105 FM.
Buenas and Hafa Adai. Here's the latest from the Marianas Business Journal. U.S. Coast Guard cutter Oliver Henry wrapped up a 22-day patrol in the Western Pacific, covering more than 4,200 nautical miles between Guam and the Federated States of Micronesia. According to the Coast Guard, the patrol blended maritime law enforcement, regional security, and community support in the FSM. The Oliver Henry delivered 2,000 pounds of supplies to 3 atolls in the region and conducted 5 boardings of tuna longliners in the FSM's exclusive economic zone alongside the FSM National Police Maritime Wing. Commanding officer of the Oliver Henry, Lieutenant Ray Serrato, said the patrol helped strengthen ties with U.S. partners in the Pacific through the operation's shared maritime law enforcement efforts. In more news, Pacific Unlimited Incorporated has been awarded a maximum $980 million firm fixed price, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract for full-line food distribution, according to a September 30 release from the U.S. Department of War. Founded in 1986, Pacific Unlimited is locally owned in Guam and is a full-service food logistics company that specializes in the supply and delivery of perishable and semi-perishable food items and food service supplies to restaurants, hotels, schools, and federal government facilities. Additionally, Lockheed Martin Corp. was awarded September 24th for a sole source hybrid cost plus fixed fee and cost plus incentive fee contract modification under the Aegis Ballistic Missile Defense Weapon Systems contract. The total value of this contract modification is $44.15 million for work that will be conducted in Morristown, New Jersey, and in Guam. Reporting for the Marianas Business Journal, the Wave 105 and Power 98, I'm Skylar Obispo.
Every company needs money for investments to help grow a working capital to take on today's economy. That's why Bank Pacific's commercial loan officers stand ready to help you. We offer several programs tailored to assist companies to get to the next step, or perhaps for a startup, including working with SBA and GITA. Bank Pacific. And we want to be your partner. Equal opportunity lender. Credit conditions apply.
Are you planning a trip to the Philippines? Why not come back feeling healthier and more rejuvenated? At the Medical City, we offer world-class healthcare services, including comprehensive executive checkups and top-tier aesthetic treatments for as low as $530. Imagine lounging on white sandy beaches, shopping at top-tier shopping centers, and indulging in premium healthcare all in one vacation. Book your getaway now and experience the best of both worlds. The Medical City, your trusted partner in health.
Hats Tinting and Detailing offers premier services from complete interior cleaning and VIP detailing. And to keep you cool, Hats also offers factory, ceramic, blacked out, and based-approved auto tinting. For more information, call 647-SLAM.
Hafa Adai, Guausi Pali Suba. Don't forget to catch the bright side every weekday afternoon from 2 to 6 on Wave 105. From big laughs to big issues, if it's happening on island, we're breaking it down with island leaders, business owners, and you. I want to send so much love to our sponsors, Micropack, Local Jerk, GTA, Sherwin-Williams Paint, Chili's, and Subway. Take a break from all of that shade and join the bright side on Wave 105.
It just works. Wave 105 FM.
October 1st. What is this, a Disney movie?
Yeah.
Okay. Boring. Not your fault. Not your fault. Word came from Jesus.
We're doing that was it Jet 2 holiday?
Jet 2.
Come on, Patty. What is it? Jet 2?
No, Jet. Wait. I actually wrote it down. I actually wrote it down because I was using it yesterday and I was
It's not
correct.
like a Jet 2 holiday.
Yeah. Hang on a second. I got it. In the meantime, let's get Paulie Suba, right? Why not? Hey, Paulie.
Hafa Adai.
Hafa Adai. How's it going, man?
It's going.
Oh, yeah? Well, thank God it's going for somebody. I like that. So, what are you thinking about lately? You know, you've had some interesting shows. I'm just kind of, I heard you yesterday with Kyle. That was pretty darn funny.
It's always funny to hang out with that guy.
Yeah, I know. He really does. You spent like almost an entire hour. I mean, the first hour. Just kind of
rambling.
Well, it was good. I mean, it's some people think that all we do is just talk about serious stuff. Well, at least, yeah. Anyway, what's going on in your brain today? What's your perspective on anything?
Just following this session, right?
Yeah.
So, what are we on now? The budget bill got it. They successfully overrode the governor's veto, and then they moved on from the Bill 1, which would guarantee that the Healthy Futures Fund moves $4 million? Guarantees that they get that money, $4 million, or 15%, whichever is greater, to the Guam Cancer Trust Fund. Bill 7 was, there's a lot near the, GPA headquarters, GPA and GWA, Gloria Nelson building.
The quarry?
Senator Joseph Augustine says it's not going to be a quarry. If you look at what's on the Sing Song, that's a quarry. What they're going to be doing isn't necessarily a quarry, but they are going to be mining, right? They are going to be taking the Cascal, and so, we're just, anytime you're mining the earth and taking the Cascal or the material and moving it, then, it's like, okay, it sounds like a quarry to me. But they'll be using that to infrastructure. CLTC can use the money, the profits, right, for infrastructure and surveying for those that have homesteads on CLTC lots, right? And so a lot of times people do have property, but they can't build on it because they don't have the infrastructure. So it makes sense to develop those lands or nearby areas so that way they can have even a road to get to their property. Senator Tina Munoz Barnes spoke yesterday about I've learned a lot more about what the CLTC is and where we are with it by listening to these public hearings and also listening to the meetings. Senator Munoz Barnes reminded us again that it was created in 1975 as a restoration to restore lands that were taken back from the U.S. military. And 50 years later, we're still talking about it, and so this bill can assist in that way. You know, Senator Sabina Perez was mentioning, you know, this $12 million of this that we could possibly see for land that we may never, you know, get back. And so you have to measure value. So, I mean, it's a difference of philosophy. Obviously, there were more senators that decided that it was time to move on, especially with this lot that has been thought about to quarry for many years. And Senator Joseph Augustine mentioned that again as to move forward, at least with this specific land. Because he's mentioning for decades, again, families were told surveys would be reimbursed, but then they never happened. And even Fernando Esteves has shared many times the lack of surveyors or even the price to survey land, and people just can't necessarily afford it. And then Bill 12 and Bill 21, they're similar in a lot of ways, but very different. Bill 12 is it relates to the public health building in Manila.
Mm-hmm.
And
those are dueling bills between Terlahi and Munya Barnes.
Yeah. And so Senator Teresa Terlahi's bill failed. That would have kept the property with public health and also have a MOA or MOU with GCC to have a nursing complex there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or allow nurses to work there. And what was interesting though was how long it took to find out what exactly happened, right? Electrical fire, but what was the extent? How much money did we even get from the insurance? I think we only got, according to Senator Talatadegui, $600 from the insurance company appraisal, and it was for a damaged door. And so all of that, that to me, I can't really wrap my head around. I'm not saying that there wasn't extensive damage, but we closed that building down since 2019, and we moved all of these public health divisions all over the island, and in a lot of ways displaced people too, because now they have to go from Muning to Manila to Hagåtña for different services. And so it's pretty frustrating, and I think that is a serious concern, and not to be discounted what that building meant to so many people.
Well, it was a clearinghouse for all the services, and so, for years and years, it was a one-stop shop. You can get everything, vital statistics, you can get immunizations, you could renew your health certificate, you could see, you could see a doctor, and pretty much anything that you needed was in that one place. Yeah, and they've been, since that place had become, what's the word they call it? I was going to say impounded.
Condemned?
Condemned, thank you. Since that place has been condemned, they've been struggling to find permanent homes for each of these different divisions. But, it's going to take a full day, if not more, if you've got to go around to all these different places for services, and it is frustrating. But,
So that's the part where they're arguing, right? And I have to agree in that sense and still wonder why it took so long to move that process and pressure people to say, hey, this is what this building means to the people of Guam. Why are we taking 6 years to just decide, to find out if we can move back in, to find out if we can start making plans to get this building back up so we can move back in. I think they've only just recently shared what happened, and now they're going to work on the plan now to be able to move in, which DPW director had told Senator Therese Terlaye that it's going to take about 18 months for that plan to be finished. Not to start working on it, but a plan to begin to move in. So it failed, and I think it's a difference of how they want to do this. It sounds like Senator Tina Munoz-Barnes' bill will pass just by the amount of people that want this to happen, but don't want it in the way Senator Therese Terlaye has set it up. So they're going to come back in at 10 a.m., and they'll come in a committee of the whole. And so more than likely BBMR will be there, and Byrne will be there for Bill 21.
What's Bill 21?
That's Tina Munoz-Barnes' bill.
Oh, hers is 21? Or I thought it was 11. Yeah. I thought it was 12. Okay,
no,
sorry.
12 is Therese Terlaye.
And she's 21. Okay.
And Munoz-Barnes is 21.
Okay, I actually switched those numbers. You know, the interesting thing about this, and it's typical how we do things on Guam, and once they condemned that property and everybody had to move out, it became back burner, because at that time it was insurmountable to be able to deal with that along with everything else that we were dealing with about 6 years ago. We all know what that was. So
right? I mean, but what do we need during a pandemic? We need a public health center. And it became the back burner?
It became a back burner because it is a back burner. It's been 6 years. And so there have been two bills so far that have been fighting about whether, which is the best way. And here's the thing about doing these back burner issues, that we were still functioning and operational because they put Band-Aids on the solution, like we always tend to do in the government of Guam. You found, different houses for these divisions to be placed, making it very much inconvenient for the consumer. But then it becomes normalized, right? Now I know that if I now I know I can't go to the one stop.
This administration made it a back burner, because what could you be doing during COVID when you can't go into work? You can rehabilitate the building.
Absolutely. There were a lot of things that could have been happening during the pandemic that didn't. And the issue with that pandemic, when it became about public health, is that public health was the lead agency. That's what's interesting. They were that was the agency that was funneling all of the grant funding, all of the medical approach to how we were going to deal with COVID. And there was so much going on politically inside that COVID situation with public health and with local doctors advisory on an advisory panel, that what was happening with a burned out building that nobody could use anymore seemed not to be as important, right? And so now we've normalized it, because when you do back burner stuff, you start throwing Band-Aids at it because the services are still needed. They spread them all across the town, and to the inconvenience. And now people just know that if they have to go to one or two divisions within the public health, they better set aside a lot of gas and daytime. And it normalizes itself after a certain time. Now we're all just sitting back going, okay, now we've got dueling bills, that who's got the better idea and who's got the most, and who's got the most influence over their idea. And then you've got the public health director saying, yeah, that's all great, but we're not going to see it for another 18 months. So that tends to lessen the importance of it, because now we got another year and a half that we got to deal with this, right? So that's the hard part about this. It's just, we tend to bring these things up to their boiling point. And then, we get some news that gives us reason not to deal with it anymore. And so we don't. I don't even know. Now we're at this point, how much after they put together the arguments on either side of this that the legislature has to deal with these bills in a climate that we're in right now, where we're all going to be looking at how much this is going to cost. This is not and wasn't a priority item in the budget, was it?
Well, it depends, right? Because again, when we look at what this building means to the people and also to the nurses advocated for this in prior legislatures to get it back up. Yeah. And so I don't know who's putting it in the back burner and why it's not a priority.
Yeah.
Why are you not listening to the people that need the services, and why are you not listening to the people that provide the services? Because I'll tell you, if you get the census from the people and from the nurses, turn the lights back on, get back in there.
Yeah. So it's got to be on that. It's got to be on that list of priorities, right? And so I mean,
but it is the priority of the nurses, and it is the priority of the people that need the service. So why aren't the priorities of the people and the nurses that work there being met?
That is the magic question, because you can find any issue having to do with medicine or health on Guam and public safety and education, and you can have lined up 100 people who are going to say something about it, to include the stakeholders like the staff. How many times were those issues put on the back burner? Because the number one reason is we don't have money.
But we have money to pay for commercial leases to put these divisions in those places.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, yeah.
There's free money.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay. But like I said, there's no money in the budget, in this current budget, for public health, for either one of those bills to have survived, right? So that...
where we are today.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying, because we're rolling back the BPT 4.5 to 4.
Well, I wasn't even
so
specific.
Then there's plenty of blame to go around, because now if we're going to blame Senator Chris Duenas and the Republicans that they haven't fully funded enough money to get public health back up at the central office, well, this administration and the Democrat majority had this as a priority and chose to put it on the back burner for 6 years.
Yeah, and that's not even what I meant. I wasn't even referring to the BPT. I'm just simply referring to the fact that this, whether or not it was public health that didn't include this as part of their budget, or the administration didn't include this as part of its budget, or the health committee didn't approve it as part of its budget. That there's plenty. You're right. There's plenty of blame to go around, but it isn't currently in this budget to fund any kind of repair or renovation.
I think that's why the committee of the whole is coming in this morning.
Yeah,
We'll see where the money's at.
Yeah, okay.
And honestly, I do think that this Bill 21 will get the votes. I mean, when you look at Senator Joseph Augustine, very controversial Bill 7, couldn't get it out of the committee. He votes with the Republicans. This bill passes.
Yeah.
Munya Barnes and Terlai have the same bill in a sense. It just depends on who's going to have the responsibility of facilitating that building. Is it going to be public health with GCC or GCC with public health? Munya Barnes is the one that's going to get the co-sponsors. I think Senator Teresa Lai, after in her closing, she looked at Munya Barnes, asked if she wants to co-sponsor. Munya Barnes said nope.
Yeah.
He looked at Senator Shangu Matautau. It sounded as though he's like, yeah, but then they clarified, and he goes, nope, I don't want. And so Tina Munya Barnes is up next, and I can almost guarantee the Republicans will go with her.
Yeah. Today, 10 o'clock, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
All right. All right.
All right.
I guess that's it, right? Oh, it's 7:04. Darn it. You ever do that, or is it just me? Just go right over the time like
no.
It's not even there.
We just give the call letters, KGUM, FM, and Dead at Guam, and we roll on.
There it is. He just said it. Thanks a lot, Polly. I appreciate the legal ID. Have a good one. We'll check you out this afternoon. That's Polly Suba from 2 o'clock until, he's going 2 to 4 is what you're going to get for Polly, and then 4 to 6 is all Chamorro programming. You're invited to watch and listen to The Bright Side this afternoon. We're Mornings with Patti, and like the man said, KGUM FM in Dead at Guam.
Lee Auto
At
Parts.
Wave 105 FM, we're more than just a station. We're your platform, your voice, your conversation. We're talking about what matters most to you today and in our future. And we want you to be part of it.
Got something to say? We're listening. Different opinions? Bring them on. Let's talk, let's debate, let's connect, because every voice counts. Call or WhatsApp us at 671-922-1051. And if that line's busy, hit us up at 922-1052. This is Talk Radio for everyone. This is Wave 105 FM, the talk of Guam.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Steve Kathan. The nation's top military commanders have heard from the Commander-in-Chief and the Defense Secretary.
The only people who actually deserve peace are those who are willing to wage war to defend it. That's why pacifism is so naive and dangerous. It ignores human nature and it ignores human history.
Secretary Pete Hegseth said the military has suffered from decades of decay and has been too woke. President Trump said some major cities will be training grounds for the military. CBS's Nicole Valdez is in Memphis, a city getting federal attention.
A lot of questions still here in Memphis about just how soon we will start to see those National Guard troops in the streets. The president and the governor of Tennessee, Bill Lee, both said they expected that operation to kickstart this week. But so far, we haven't seen any sign of any massive troop movement throughout the city.
The U.S. has deported 120 Iranians in the U.S. illegally back to Iran. CBS's Michael Wallace.
Their chartered flight took off from Louisiana last night. Iran says it has reached a deal with the U.S. to take back 400 people in all. It's rare for the U.S. and Iran to work together like that. The U.S. had given shelter to Iranians fleeing their homeland for decades. It's also unusual for the U.S. to deport migrants to countries with harsh human rights records.
President Trump with an announcement today on drug prices as the White House unveils a direct-to-consumer drug site.
Pfizer is agreeing to provide some of their most popular current medications to all consumers at heavily discounted prices of anywhere between 50 and even 100%.
Also on the Health Watch, CBS's Michael George tells us about a vaccine having an impact on those who don't get the shot.
An Albert Einstein College of Medicine study found the HPV vaccine greatly reduces rates of cervical cancer. And there's evidence of herd immunity, meaning enough people are getting vaccinated that even unvaccinated people are seeing lower virus rates. Researchers say higher vaccination rates have the potential to eliminate cervical cancer globally.
Imelda is a hurricane now in the Atlantic Ocean, right near Hurricane Umberto.
Swells generated by the hurricane are going to be affecting the Bahamas, and they're spreading over much of the U.S. coast as well between these two systems that are out there. So they are likely to cause life-threatening surf and rip current conditions.
Meteorologist Craig Allen. DoorDash says it's adding restaurant reservations and robot deliveries to its menu in some places. Reservations on its app soon in New York and Miami. The robot first out in Phoenix. Wall Street. The Dow is down 105 points. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
We're hearing from the performer chosen for the Super Bowl halftime show.
The beach is my hometown beach.
Now that the cat, or the rabbit's out of the bag, Bad Bunny says he's proud of his image sitting on a goal post in front of the ocean.
I'm really excited for my friends, my family, Puerto Rico, all the Latino people around the world, my culture.
The Puerto Rican reggaeton star on Apple Music's halftime headliner special.
I'm figuring out yet what I'm going to do on this show, but it's going to be good.
Critics say Bad Bunny was a poor halftime choice because his songs aren't in English and he didn't make stops in the U.S. during his residency to spare fans from potential ICE raids. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
Researchers say they've discovered life-size rock carvings of camels, gazelles, and other animals in Saudi Arabia. Carvings date back around 12,000 years. Steve Kathan, CBS News.
Hafa Adai, Guausi Pali Suba. Don't forget to catch the bright side every weekday afternoon from 2 to 6 on Wave 105. From big laughs to big issues, if it's happening on island, we're breaking it down with island leaders, business owners, and you. I want to send so much love to our sponsors, Micropack, Local Jerk, GTA, Sherwin-Williams Paint, Chili's, and Subway. Take a break from all of that shade and join the bright side on Wave 105.
Get double the speed at zero extra cost with GTA Fiber. Experience super fast and reliable fiber internet speeds, now starting at 200 Mbps to 1 gig, with upload speeds just as fast as download speeds and 100 times faster than cable internet. You can enjoy lag-free gaming and clear video calls. Fast is also affordable. Sign up for Fiber 200 for only $70 a month. Visit gta.net or call 644-4482. Terms and conditions apply.
Hafa Adai, Guam. Engage in a conversation made for the veterans of Guam with Johnny and Miss Bobby. We want to hear concerns and comments. Tune in every Wednesday for our new time, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Wave 105, the Talk of Guam.
Buenas and Hafa Adai, it's Damon Michael, your GDOE PIO. Make sure you tune in every Friday at 10 a.m. for our agency's Educuento series, where we give you the latest and greatest from the Department of Education.
KGUM-FM, Dedido. The Talk of Guam is Wave 105 FM.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Michael Toscano. Jimmy Kimmel has returned to the ABC airwaves, coming back after a suspension over his remarks related to the death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Nino Podman was in the audience.
It was a little bit more emotional than I expected, actually. And he really just talked about his experience. And I think that was really, really cool and really great because he was near to tears.
Kimmel said he wasn't trying to make light of the tragedy or to blame any specific group for it.
For those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way.
He also mocked President Trump for helping to boost his audience.
He did his best to cancel me. Instead, he forced millions of people to watch the show. That backfired bigly. He might have to release the Epstein files to distract us from this now.
The show was not carried by the 30% of ABC stations owned by Sinclair Broadcast Group or Nexstar Media. President Trump met with leaders of Arab nations in New York Tuesday for the UN General Assembly.
This is going to be a very important meeting. It's going to be a meeting with great leaders from a very important part of our planet, the Middle East, and we want to end the war in Gaza. We're going to end it. We're going to end it. Maybe we can end it right now.
The Secret Service disrupted a telecommunications threat that could have affected the UN events. CBS News national security correspondent Nicole Skanger reports the plot could have disabled cell phone towers and led to electronic attacks.
Secret Service discovered a SIM farm, basically a network so powerful it could text 30 million people in a minute, the entire country in just 12 minutes. Roughly 300 servers across 5 different sites, more than 5 different sites, I should say, and more than 100,000 SIM cards hidden in these abandoned apartments throughout the New York area. That's enough computing power on all of them to potentially overwhelm and shut down New York City's entire cellular network.
The camp in Texas, where dozens of people were killed over the summer in flooding, says it will reopen. CBS's Matt Piper.
Camp Mystic in Texas Hill Country shared its plans to reopen in a letter to parents. The letter says the camp will reopen part of its grounds to campers next summer, specifically its Camp Mystic Cypress Lake area, where there were no deaths or injuries.
Camp officials plan to put up a memorial in honor of the 25 children and 2 counselors who died. There's a deadly typhoon sweeping through Asia. Ragasa now battering Hong Kong and southern China after killing at least 18 in the Philippines and Taiwan. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. We offer auto, home, and commercial auto insurance, plus a variety of business insurance options. Visit Progressive.com today.
Let me tell you about this new pretzel cheddar club. Hey, I'm Carlos.
And I'm Ebony. And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Pretzel Cheddar Club
is the tangy Dijon with the pretzel bun. It takes it to a whole nother level.
It goes perfectly with the chicken and the cheddar cheese and the bacon.
Man, you know how much you love bacon. And I love the different varieties. Grilled, spicy, original. It gets you nice and excited for fall.
Order the Pretzel Cheddar Club with Cherry Berry and Sprite for a limited time on the Chick-fil-A app. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
The World Health Organization is sounding a global warning about high blood pressure.
In this, the WHO's second global hypertension report, the UN's health agency says 1.4 billion people were living with high blood pressure in 2024, yet close to 4 out of 5 of them weren't controlling it either through medication or lifestyle changes. Those figures are an average. The situation's worst in poor countries. Only about 1 in 3 of them report having hypertension medications easily available in pharmacies or clinics. Vicki Barker, CBS News, London.
A rush of suicides at New Mexico's Rio Grande Gorge Bridge forced authorities to close the span to pedestrians for now. 3 people jumped off the span to their deaths in just the past 3 weeks alone. Officials are seeking to install fencing or nets to stop people from jumping off the landmark. As I said, 3 people jumped off the span to their deaths. It's been a record for that this past year. Michael Toscano, CBS News.
Nothing beats a JetBlue holiday, and right now you can save 50 pounds per person. That's what it was.
I love those.
JetBlue is just one of the funniest bits that you can find on social media right now. The whole Jet 2.
They got the best content for that stuff.
Oh, it's so funny. They just take all of the mishaps that are taken on people's vacations and then promo them as things that are happening on a person's vacation, and you too can have one of these types of holidays. I've seen some doozies, like full on, I mean, things that you would sue a company over. But all right, so here we are in the morning at 7:19 a.m. Let's take a look at some things that we were following. Paulie Suba talking a little bit about what was going on in session. I mean, not in session, but these bills that are being discussed. What am I hearing? Is that it's okay? I'm just gonna shut up about any Okay, no. It's not you. It's not you. It's the ghost in the machine is what that is. All right. So they're talking, Polly hit on this a little bit, and the conversation certainly hit the front of the newspapers today when they're talking about this quarry possibility happening in Mingilao and what this means to Guam, in that we have land trust properties that are available and have been for many years, and we've now are trying to deal with a significant size of land, 60 acres, that the Chamorro Land Trust is about to lease out, or being considered for them to lease out, to dig for a quarry. And there's a couple of things that are going on here. One of them is clearly environmental. And the debate is also centered around the economic benefit and the revenue that it will generate. This quarry, as it is presented by Senator Joe Sinagasi, is to lease the land for a quarry that is going to produce some royalties, maybe some lease payments. Just other income that they are definitely hungry for in the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. So it can be used to support the mission of the CLTC. And one of them is for infrastructure. They've talked about parlaying these lands into leases that will pay for the possibility that we could generate it to start putting in plumbing and electricity into these lands that don't have anything. And they're going to talk about the productive uses that are a source of materials, a source of jobs with this quarry. 60 acres, by the way. I said that already. So they're going to need a lot of work out there that will provide some jobs locally for people who are looking for any of the work that is associated with a quarry operation, like machinery, operating machinery, just the whole thing, the whole point about extracting minerals and cascao and the like from these lands. And what this also will do is reduce the cost of construction, because a lot of the materials like rock, aggregate, we just talked about cascao, for roads, for construction, if they are needed locally, and they are definitely needed locally, if you're talking about, decreasing the amount of materials that need to be bought for construction that we have to get someplace else. So that's the part about it being a benefit in favor of, because of its economic and jobs and utilization. I can understand the other part of the argument, which is the environmental impact. What we're talking about, not only is it creating dust and excavation, but it's also creating a lot of noise. It's going to create a lot of disruption to the habitat, talking about possible erosion. These are all issues that Senator Sabina Perez has been arguing against when we talk about the impacts of these lands being used for exactly this purpose, excavation. And the degradation of the local ecosystem has to be something we consider, because the quarry is just one project. We've talked about other projects, or there are in the future other projects that will also have an environmental impact. The other part of it is that this is against having this place used as a quarry, is that there are concerns that the Chamorro Land Trust is to be the steward of the lands that carry any cultural or ancestral significance, which this does. Everywhere on Guam is basically a tomb for artifacts. And we have disrupted many landscapes for these kinds of projects. But there are sacred sites and there are traditional values that accompany digging up the earth on Guam. Again, we are a tomb of bodies and artifacts and remains of ancestral significance. And there's got to be a reasonable amount of protection of them as Guam wrestles with digging up lands for modernization and trying to preserve the culture, which are both heavily regulated and monitored by the government. And then that's not to mention the people who are in the surrounding area. I mean, if you had a piece of land that you owned outright because if it was an inheritance of yours, then you're probably not going to be happy about what's going to happen eventually when this comes up. And that is, the clash is definitely going to be over the noise and over the increased traffic and all of the other things that make living in a neighborhood that is developing irritating. And so there's kind of a lot going on here of with the political advantages, the costs, the risks, and how we're going to evaluate how we're going to do all of it, protect all of it. So the idea that Joe St. Augustine has been pushing in this legislature and in the last legislature has been using these lands to help make money and make money for the trust. He did so with the bill that would allow an old Dedido golf course that wasn't making any money and it was well behind in rent to transform into a solar farm where they will sell energy back to GPA, and they would cough up all of the money that was back owed to the government of Guam or to the CLTC if this bill passed, and it didn't. This quarry has been in the conversation for a long time, and it won't be the first quarry in that area either. So now there's a battle between what is right for the CLTC, because that money eventually is going to go back ultimately the way they have it planned to people who are awarded lands but can't do anything with them for a variety of reasons. Once you are receiving these Chamorro lands, these in the trust, then it's up to you, depending on the designation, if it's agricultural, residential, how you're going to transform that land. And a lot of people have the idea that they'll build a home. But, they've got system development charges that are well outpricing people's ability and passion for building their own homes on their lands. And so these lands just kind of remain dormant. They're not doing anything. They're just sort of existing. And then in some cases, they build up a little shanty. They'll put a structure on that and try to do whatever they can to sustain, power or water or however, or they use it as the back kitchen for the family. They can go there and hang out and they don't need much during the day. Or they generate power using some mobile generators to bring out to these properties. But generally, the argument has been that people don't, first of all, get the land. There's a long list that was started in 1994, was it, or 5? Either way, that list has grown to be in the thousands, and they haven't even gotten to half of the distribution of properties to these owners. Or not owners, I'm sorry, those who are eligible for Chamorro lands. And interestingly, we've got a lot of people sitting in the line and dying in the process, and then a lot of inheritance passing over several generations because it's been that long since they jump-started that list. And everybody will tell you, jump-start the list. But what you're doing is you're doling out property for people who can't do much about it anyway, except for maybe clear the land, whatever's within their resources to be able to do to make use of it. So I had this really interesting conversation because this topic came up at the Bread Ball. And one of my dinner partners at the table, because we're assigned a table, so randomly we have people that we don't know, right? And so this one lady who's from Hawaii called me over to that side of the table, and she's like trying to get to know Guam, and she said she heard that I was a talk show host, and we talked about our ties and our similarities to my time living in Hawaii. and she is Hawaiian. And so we were, I don't know, we talked for quite a long time. But it was a really interesting conversation because she was talking about land. And she was talking about having built a home in Waikele years ago. And I think it was nearly $500,000 when she bought it back in the 90s, 2000s. And that thing is worth more, like $1.5 million by this point. So she's got quite the investment. And her kids, she says, are asking her to sell the land, sell the house. Mom, they're like, you bought this house for $450,000, and these are developed properties. I don't know what the developer were. There's a lot of Gentry presence out there, Gentry Homes presence. I don't know if they actually built that subdivision that she lives in Waikele, but that whole west side of Oahu is the side where most homes, where there's been like dramatic development over the last 20 years, that these homes have been popping up all over the place and people were snapping them up. So you can imagine $400,000 for a home that's now 1.5 is quite the steal. And her children are telling her, move. Mom, let's just offload that. She's a single mother. Let's just get rid of the house, $1.5 million, and then where were we going to live? And they're like, I don't know, homelands? Like Hawaiian homelands, and it was almost a laughable proposition, or even concept to her as someone who owns a home, ever getting a piece of land. The way that they're doling out lands under Hawaiian homestead is much different than the way they dole it out here, and much different than the way that they dole it out in Saipan, right? So. In Guam, you can't be a landowner, if I'm not mistaken. And in Hawaii, the structure is that apparently she can own a house and be entitled to land. And I think it's because one of the reasons is that this property or her place in line was secured by her mother. So you kind of go down the list. That your ancestors start to pick up a place in line when you die. And so she was talking about the same. It was almost like insert indigenous lands to, here in this topic. It's like whatever was applying in Hawaii was applying in Guam. That there's a long list that started. Hers, she said, started back in the 80s. That the homeland, Hawaiian homelands was started the list of recipients, and you had to, clearly there's eligibility requirements having to do with, Native Hawaiians and your lineage. So she, they immediately got on, but they've been waiting for all of these years. And she says there's no movement in the line, and that there are people who are generations have died and then passed them on to now 2 generations of people, and no one's getting anything. And a lot of the problem is the same problem that they're having here. These homestead lands are not developed. So putting in expensive infrastructure in these dotted spots all around the islands, and it's just not only Oahu, all of the other islands are also eligible. Well, clearly because it's just one state. But she's saying there's just no way ever that they're going to be able to ever build on that land because the infrastructure is way more expensive. Over here, I just was talking to somebody from GWA, and the infrastructure, because we have that GWA, where is it? Systems development charge that is in the thousands. That's what you got to pay right off the top. And then God knows how much you have to go in there to start laying down, power lines. So it's all the same. It's all the same, sort of the same argument that they're having in places where they have indigenous lands for indigenous people that feel they're never going to go anywhere. So I guess you find yourself a little bit at some kind of crossroads, right? Like, on one hand, you have the environmental impact, the cultural, ancestral protections that are also written into our laws, while you have the developing these lands to generate revenue so we can put infrastructure into these properties. The impact of all of this is going to hit pretty hard, and so this is why this has been such a big fight. But apparently we're closer than we probably have ever been on this issue of a quarry, because the headlines are reading that it's coming up for a vote. And it sounds like the dissension is probably not going to be a factor if we're talking about generating income for the greater of all the people on that list or entitled to property. And speaking of, the Chamorro Land Trust Commission is now backing that whole return of the Francisco Perez family's property at Ipoh Point, opening up yet another argument about where this hospital should go and what should be planned for that property. We'll talk about that in a minute. But first, we got to go ahead and take that break. Are we good for that? Okay, break here. We'll be right back.
105 FM, we're more than just a station. We're your platform, your voice, your conversation. We're talking about what matters most to you today and in our future. And we want you to be part of it. Got something to say? We're listening. Different opinions? Bring them on. Let's talk, let's debate, let's connect, because every voice counts. Call or WhatsApp us at 671-922-1051. And if that line's busy, hit us up at 922-1052. This is Talk Radio for everyone. This is Wave 105 FM, the Talk of Guam.
Buenas and Hafa Adai. Here's the latest from the Marianas Business Journal. U.S. Coast Guard cutter Oliver Henry wrapped up a 22-day patrol in the Western Pacific, covering more than 4,200 nautical miles between Guam and the Federated States of Micronesia. According to the Coast Guard, the patrol blended maritime law enforcement, regional security, and community support in the FSM. The Oliver Henry delivered 2,000 pounds of supplies to 3 atolls in the region and conducted 5 boardings of tuna longliners in the FSM's exclusive economic zone, alongside the FSM National Police Maritime Wing. Commanding officer of the Oliver Henry, Lieutenant Ray Serrato, said the patrol helped strengthen ties with U.S. partners in the Pacific through the operation's shared maritime law enforcement efforts. In more news, Pacific Unlimited Incorporated has been awarded a maximum $980 million firm fixed price, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract for full-line food distribution, according to a September 30 release from the U.S. Department of War. Founded in 1986, Pacific Unlimited is locally owned in Guam and is a full-service food logistics company that specializes in the supply and delivery of perishable and semi-perishable food items and food service supplies to restaurants, hotels, schools, and federal government facilities. Additionally, Lockheed Martin Corp. was awarded September 24th for a sole source hybrid cost plus fixed fee and cost plus incentive fee contract modification under the Aegis Ballistic Missile Defense Weapon Systems contract. The total value of this contract modification is $44.15 million for work that will be conducted in Morristown, New Jersey, and in Guam. Reporting for the Marianas Business Journal, the Wave 105 and Power 98, I'm Skylar Obispo.
Hafa Adai, Guausi Pali Suba. Don't forget to catch the bright side every weekday afternoon from 2 to 6 on Wave 105. From big laughs to big issues, if it's happening on island, we're breaking it down with island leaders, business owners, and you. I want to send so much love to our sponsors, Micropack, Local Jerk, GTA, Sherwin-Williams Paint, Chili's, and Subway. Take a break from all of that shade and join the bright side on Wave 105.
Get double the speed at zero extra cost with GTA Fiber. Experience super fast and reliable fiber internet speeds, now starting at 200 Mbps to 1 gig, with upload speeds just as fast as download speeds and 100 times faster than cable internet. You can enjoy lag-free gaming and clear video calls. Fast is also affordable. Sign up for Fiber 200 for only $70 a month. Visit gta.net or call 644-4482. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, look at us at, let's see, what time is it? 7:39, blowing through the last couple of hours on the radio, and happy to be here. Thank you for joining us. I just got a message from Paulie that the construction plans to complete the public health building in Manila is 8 months. And so I thought it was 18 months, so we all stand corrected. That it's 8 months, and it was really about this being a back burner situation. Public health has been condemned for 6 years, and we've been slow in moving by people's standards, by stakeholders' standards. That we've moved slow, and again, we know what was going on 6 years ago when all of this thing was going down. So there has been a delay in trying to get through all of the weeds, but at the point we are at now, we've got two competing bills that were up against each other. And of course, Senator Tina Muñoz-Barnes has got an idea on how to use that facility. And again, now we got, okay. And now we got, I'm so sorry. Hang on a second. We're doing a lot of this raw because we're having some issues, but Senator Joe San Augustine is calling in on that exact line. Okay, so Jesse, are you the? Let me just tell him to give me 1 second, if you will, people. I'm just trying to make sure that I have Senator Senator Joe San Augustine on the right line because we are suffering some issues here. Jesse, good morning. Jesse.
Yes.
What's up? Good morning. Jesse, can you speak? I'm on the radio with you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I sure can. Go ahead.
Good morning, Patty. How are you doing,
I'm
ma'am?
good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I just wanted to touch bases on the selection of the upcoming superintendent for the Department of Education. And I just wanted to put it out there that hopefully when they do make a selection, that they consider highly the two candidates that were former, one is still Associate Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, which is Joe Sanchez, and then former Associate Superintendent Erica Cruz, as you know, the selection for that position.
Uh-huh.
And the only reason why I choose that is so they've been working for GDOE from the time they were teachers to administrators, and now they work downtown. And I just wanted to throw it out there that it shouldn't just be, but they don't have their doctorate. Because when John Fernandez was hired, he held that position for almost 10 years, and he didn't have a doctorate, let alone his area of education was not under, education per se. So I just wanted to put it out there just to see what this board is going to end up doing and how they're going to hire the new or which superintendent they're going to hire for GDOE come January.
Yeah, we're all looking. Whoever they choose as superintendent is going to, have a lot going on when they take on this job. So, I think to your point of having to hire locally, you have people that are already embedded in the system that have an idea as to what's at stake and what might happen. They've got an idea of the politics that surrounds education, the losses that we're going to be suffering because of the federal budget, and a whole lot of policy changes that are being made as it relates to DOE. So on that point, I think that they have a leg up. But obviously, they're going to have to address every incoming application because that's the way, that's how you vet a new superintendent is to take all the applicants and do so fairly.
Oh, yes, of course. And I know there's only 3 so far that had put it out there, Dr. Adamas and Erica Cruz and Joe Sanchez. Not too sure who the other 4 candidates are, but
yeah,
I just wanted to put it out there because
lobbying for the locals, Jesse. I got you.
Oh yes, of course we have to.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call, buddy. Appreciate that.
Hey, you stay safe, ma'am.
I absolutely will, sir. Have a great day. We got Senator Joe St. Augustine on the line with us this morning. Good morning, Senator. It's been a while. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Patty. I could barely hear you, but let's go for it.
Okay.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Are you on your Bluetooth? Maybe that's why.
Yeah. Yes, I am, and I'm on the side of the road.
Oh, okay.
Go for
Then.
it.
Okay. Maybe you could take us off Bluetooth if that's going to help you and hear me, because I don't want to yell at you, but
I can hear you better. I'm just raising the volume.
Okay,
I'm on
cool.
the side of the road, so nobody's going to.
Thank you. I appreciate your I appreciate you driving with the Hafa Adai spirit. So I want to go back. I want to go back just real quickly. You were the kind of the star. You and Tina were the kind of the stars of the show when they were talking about the override of the veto. And Senator Speaker Bloss got on and he says, we got it. I don't have any problems lobbying because I know that we're just going to have the votes because of what St. Augustine and Munya Barnes brought to the budget and won. And then supported the bill. He couldn't see you backtracking or reneging on, the potential loss of your agenda items. So, had there been any consideration or any lobbying of you during between the veto and the override vote?
Lobbying from who? Who are you referring to? Who's going to lobby?
Well, the administration could lobby you, and maybe the administration could lobby you, and maybe even the speaker and the Republican side of the House, the majority would lobby you, wouldn't they?
Well, I would say both sides have asked me to consider and reconsider and so forth. But you know what, Patty, I'm not like your normal senator that I'm going to add them to a bill and then turn around and vote against it. Okay. There are quite a few colleagues that do that. They add to bills, but then they'll turn around and they'll kill the bill. I'm not that kind of guy. Okay. I stick to what I'm focused on. And as the same token, I did attend the hearings with on the rollback of the BBT, and I did state for the record that I saw no reservation in support. The rollback. It came earlier than expected. I actually anticipated that the rollback will happen in 2027 budget year, but a little bit, 0.5 took effect for October, and I didn't see any real reservation on not supporting that, and that's why I voted for the override.
That's yeah. Okay. So your consideration wasn't the BPT as much as it was what you did testify for the rest of the budget bill.
That's correct. And you know what? I met with quite a few of the employees out there. Other than government employees are pretty safe. They've got their jobs. There's no threat on their pay raise or anything. No, I do. Even though I do have military privileges, I do shop outside. You can't understand the warmth or the pain that folks are facing if you're not part of the community. So I do visit all the stores and the different businesses, and I meet with employees, and they told me this, and some of the managers said that, we could use this if they roll back a little bit, if not all of it, the 1%. We could use it to help our employees, maybe for training or for pay adjustment. And hopefully, and I asked them, could you possibly reduce the prices of some of their goods? And they said, well, we're going to take a look at all of that. I said, okay, so I'm going to have to believe in that. And on the employee side, when I spoke to them, they said, Senator, it's almost like when I introduced, remember, the pay raise for the public sector. I'm still pursuing that one also, and I'm after to bring some balance, so that the people outside of the government can get some buying power, and that's what I'm looking out for.
Yeah. Does it seem to you now, looking at the BPT and the rollback, after all of the conversation that you were privy to, that the option of that there is no option in rolling back prices, that there's no intention by these businesses to decrease the prices on the shelf because it wouldn't make sense for them, because they still have increased incurring costs associated with that project, with that product, that there's no way that they can make it any cheaper.
Well, But one of the factors that we need to also take a look at, the tariffs didn't help, okay? But for some of the businesses that bring in products not from the United States, their prices haven't grown, you know. They haven't grown because of the BBT. As a matter of fact, quite a few businesses are pretty much having sales all over the place. So, you know, I'm going to have to take a look at that and say, wait a minute. Now, if they start investing in their employees and they don't roll back the prices, then that's a step forward. That's one. Improving the service they provide to all the customers, that's another step. You know, we got to look at not just one area, not just the product being reduced, but if the employees get a better wage, that's a step forward for them because they're the same customers that are going to go visit the stores also and shop, and it's got to keep the revenue moving. You know, I've always stated before, Patty, and you've heard me before, we got to keep business in business because it's about the economy. And if we forget that, then where do you think we're going to go? It's almost like, you know, was it the tourism? Businesses are closing. The BBT is not helping. Well, then let's find a medium somewhere and try to work that.
There was no medium that was found, obviously, because the BBT rollback did in fact pass. Despite the pleas from Adelup that it's going to cut into the revenues of the government of Guam, that was not an argument that the legislature adopted as the reason not to roll back the prices. So roll back the BPT. So it did in fact win, and it won handily. They only had it was 11-4, right? Or I think
that's what it was.
Yeah, and so the budget bill passed with the BPT in it. Whether or not you specifically thought that was a good idea to roll it back. It's always been the position of the chamber and of lawmakers that are in support of the rollback that the idea is to increase employee benefits and improve the efficiency and the look of these businesses. Never once did any of them say you're going to find savings on the shelves. That was never written down as an option. And I think that most people thought, you know, that we have this sort of trickle down effect, and we all know that we all know that never works. But
it was stated, Patty. I mean, that quite a few businesses did state they will make that consideration to roll back some of the prices. And remember, you have to remember that if we're looking at 0.5%, how much is that going to really change? And if the tariffs keep speeding up everything that's being brought into Guam, how do you roll back something like that where you don't have a choice? If you want to buy something that came from the mainland that's been hit by a tariff, what do you do?
Absolutely. And we're definitely seeing that now. It's showing up in the post office where we're now having to pay these tariffs at the post office, or with this particular app where mailing something out is not going to be as inexpensive. But you know the ship has sailed on the BPT. It's been vetoed, it's been overridden, so it is now what it's supposed to be. So let me move into the next part of the whole override. Was this comment that was made by Senator Chris Duenas about tyranny and the presence of authoritarianism in this in Adelup. How much of that do you agree with?
I don't believe that there's that statement that you just made.
Yeah.
I don't believe that exists. I never even thought of that, but I don't agree with that. I don't believe there's any tyranny, any of that, what you just stated. I don't believe that exists. I think there's still the ability for the legislature to work with the administration and come to terms with whatever they need to do to move forward, and then we just work from there.
Yeah. Do you think that, on this note, do you think that it is necessary for the legislature to have an investigative panel over the allegations of PUA fraud involving the lieutenant governor's family?
I don't believe that the legislature should step into that. At this point, I don't believe that. I let the court do its job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, we don't need to turn into a courtroom, okay? And that's not the role of the legislature. And I wouldn't support something like that right at this point.
Yeah.
It's all over the court. It's in the court. Let the court go through the process and then do what they need to do. If it's wrong, if you're in charge of any organization, if it's wrong, it's wrong. Remove, remove the bad apple from the basket and move on. If it's right, it's right. But we just got to have to trust the system, the justice system, and hope for the best for whatever direction it goes.
Yeah. Let's talk about what I really called you about. What I really called you about.
Let's go for it, Patti. I know I've listened to a little bit of it, but go.
The clash over the quarry. You've been talking about CLTC and the perspectives of enhancing revenue so that it can be and we've had this conversation, you and I, about making that money available for infrastructure and to improve the way we dole out these lands. So
for many years,
yeah.
Patti, we've talked about that.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So always in the argument, I think maybe your phone is too loud, sir. I mean, your radio. Maybe it's a little bit too loud because it's getting feedback. But and in every one of these arguments, you're going to find the environmental perspective on and especially as it deals with this bill on the quarry. Talk to me about why we shouldn't pay more attention, and what's the takeaway from an argument that CLTC and Guam definitely has the responsibility of being good stewards to cultural and ancestral preservation.
If you noticed during the session yesterday, when they brought up all those things, you have to remember the original bill I first introduced. Everything was a shall do. Well, they shall do this, they shall do this, and it was changed. My colleague, Senator Taylor, we introduced all the amendments to change the shall to may. In other words, CLTC shall not have to do this. They may do it if they want, if they choose to. That's one. And then when it deals with the environmental impact and the worry about everybody saying about the water, well, there's parts on that bill that talks about the Guam EPA getting involved, making sure all the permits. None of those are waived. Everything, there's a mandate. They must do the economic impact study. They have to do, they have to go through all the clearance. So if they go through all the clearance and everything is good to go, then let's make it happen. But it's not about creating a quarry either, Patti.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to talk about a quarry, go to Denadu. You see a quarry there. In the Padilla area, all they're going to do is scrape. I mean, my vision, and I've expressed this to my interest, is to scrape whatever they can, plan the area out. If you've been back there, you see it's all rocky going all the way in. All they're going to do is basically flatten it all out, make it lots so that it can be issued to the Chamorro folks, the families that are entitled to this, and move on. Now, hopefully, and I'm anticipating they're going to and they're going to contract somebody, and, there was even a part there where they were trying to match that with the racetrack. No, it's two different areas. What they're going to do is they're going to have, it's in the bill, they're going to have a spot where before they go out, they get scaled, they get measured, there's all kinds of reports that have to happen. So all the threats, if they find ancestral plots out there, automatically there's a stop, just like we do in every other construction that happens on Guam. If you find a spot that you have endangered species, that stops also. All the mechanisms are in place. But what I was pursuing is exactly what should have been pursued by the oversight chair during the past, 4 or 6 years. Mm-hmm. Going after finding ways to get money to Chamorro so they can get the lots surveyed, get the lots cleared, bring in infrastructure, and let's get the community that's out there that have leases so they can get the water, get the power, get the roads done. I mean, I went from the north, I've been down south visiting the areas, and I'm like, really? They couldn't even scrape and make a road so that the families can go in there that have ranches. I mean, so it's drivable. And that's all I've ever tried to pursue. Can we find a way that we keep talking about? Let's find ways to get our Chamorro people to have a home. Well, let's make an effort. And this is one of my efforts. And that's all I've been pursuing, is finding ways to take care of the folks that are entitled to and can get a lot and move on. And if they can get a loan from GURA or from Guam Housing, then so be it. But you got to get the infrastructure in. Otherwise, they only become good for ranches, for agriculture purposes. I mean, can you imagine that? You get a lot, and you can't even build a home because why? You got to put a septic tank, or GWA can't bring the sewer line in. Well, let's find ways to get it done. Chamorro Trust, was that the last budget, which was yesterday? They got $9 million. What did they do? That we gave them the mobilization in the budget. Gave them $9 million to start that, to get them some funding. And in the past, there never was a push. And I've been trying to find a way that can we find ways to get this done and help them. I mean, maybe even consider that, as we look at property tax, Patti, everybody pays property tax. You know that if you have a lease, I think it's up to 7 years, then you start paying the property tax. Maybe we need to figure out a way to introduce a bill. Maybe I'll introduce a bill to divert that money that Chamorro Trust folks pay for property tax, that it goes back to Chamorro Trust, so it can be reinvested back into the system and help the others. Survey the lots. I don't know if you know about this, Patti, but for folks that get Chamorro, when they identify a spot they like to get, they end up having to survey themselves and hope to get reimbursed. Wow, really? And many of them have never been reimbursed. So let's make sure that when we give a lot out, or Chamorro Trust issues a lot, it's surveyed, it's ready to go. If it's going to be just for a rent, then stop saying it's residential. It's agriculture. Then if you get the infrastructure, then you can change it to residential. But make sure that we have that infrastructure in there. That's all I'm pursuing. And the bill yesterday, it changed, and I believe it got better. And it expanded the role of EPA and everybody else in the permit process.
Yeah. Are there also enforceable conditions, not the voluntary guidelines, about the concerns that they have with the environment, with dust, with noise, with heavy trucks, and all of the other negatives that will affect nearby residents?
Well, you take a look at it this way. When EPA gets involved, they can make sure with Chamorro Trust eyeing them, saying we want to make sure, the dust and all that stuff that folks are worried about can be taken care of. Really, and that's all part of the permit. Make sure that you have, when you bring trucks in, you got them covered. When you start blowing up or whatever, you give warning to all the residential in that area. When you start breaking ground. I mean, they can include that all part of their permit. That's not, let's say you shouldn't be micromanaging everything that every agency is going to be doing, because then why do we have directors out there for? Why do we have a board, a commission? You know what I mean? We give them the guidelines and we allow them to do what they need to do. And you've heard me say this. Well, this will give, and it's on the newspaper, this gives the EPA a job to pursue. And it's part of the enforcement anyway. And it's more specific. And we allow the flexibility for Chamorro Trust to decide what part of that lot area are they going to develop. They may say only this part. I mean, so be it. Whatever part they decide, at least the option is there. Generate funds, get infrastructure to the other areas while they're still clearing the area. Get it to the other areas that we have families. We got families down south, Patti, that don't have roads. I mean, good roads. I mean, decent roads. Even if it's just a nice wide road with gravel for now. Bring in the infrastructure. Bring in the power. That's for $9 million. I would hope they would work in something with GPS. Says, okay, how much will it cost to bring in the power in this area? Because there's power nearby. It's just we got to bring the power in. Work it out.
Is there already a potential lessee for this quarry project?
No, I mean, it's when they put the bid out. Then let's see who gets it. Will it be Smith Bridge? Will it be Hawaiian Rock would be, I mean, who else is out there? Paris Brothers? I don't know. The Smith
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
Cortez. Remember, there's a bidding process. Now, whoever wins it, you got a shot. But you got to pay the fee, too. You bid on it, and then you got, and remember, there's a lifetime rate where they reduces the cost that if you wanted to build a home on small land trust and you need to get concrete, you got a special rate. You don't get the normal rate that everybody else pays. You get a lesser rate. So we just need to allow the system to work. And if it doesn't work, then let us know tomorrow and let's amend the bill, amend the law. There's not one law out there that can't be amended for the betterment for the people. That's all it's for.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah. Generally, when there is, I don't know what maybe I should talk to CLTC about the requirements of lessees and what their obligations are under government law on whether or not they have to I don't know, ensure that through a bond or escrow to cover any like reclamation or any kind of remediation if they walk away from something. Is that standard to the lessees agreements?
Well, it can be a requirement by Chamorro Land Trust, okay?
Yeah.
Remember, they're the controller of it. If they say that, no, we want to have a bond, we want to protect the property, great. Do the next best thing. Don't blame the law that we passed. Just because we say, you got to do this, you got to take care of this, that's not choosing your part to say, well, they didn't tell us to do that. No. Think about it. Think outside the box. Think what you can do as commission to protect the property that you're responsible to protect and make sure we can get, it was even brought up, Patti. How many leases have they issued out in the past 2-3 years? 2, 3? Really? We keep talking about 8,000 people on the list. Really? Can you bring it down to at least maybe issue out 1,000, issue out 500? Something. Get them going. Get our folks on the land that they...
Yeah, so I guess that is the question. We're chasing after leases so that we can fund the infrastructure. Is there any conversation about it not going into sort of a general, not the general fund, but a general fund to just benefit those lessees or those who are given trust lands than it is to provide community projects for schools and improve roads and the like for that particular community, rather than just the leaseholder or just the recipient of the land?
Well, it allows the lifetime rate. It's got the life rate. It's got the different perspective on the bill. Now, if Chamorro Land Trust feels that we want to focus more on the leasing, then say that. Say that that's all you want it for. In other words, if we were to introduce a bill allowing them to clear a property and it's only going to benefit them, then say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The only reason I introduced this is because, remember, GWA and GPA is there. Well, why don't we clear the rest then of Chamorro Land Trust? Why don't we clear it and let's help the Chamorro Land Trust get some funds to get projects done. Not some, but get as many projects done as possible for all the recipients of Chamorro Land Trust property. And you know what? When that land is cleared and it's leveled off, I mean, it's not going to be a quarry. Remember that. They're not going to dig a hole that's going to be as deep as that is, okay? It's going to be to flatten the property there. Take a look at the beauty. Can you imagine? You're a Chamorro, you're a recipient of a lease, and you're on that lot? What a beauty. Why not only the people that are wealthy, staying in, not saying Bergen Heights, but our airport season, but why not?
Yeah.
Allow our recipients to have that beautiful view. GPA, I guess, and GWA is enjoying that when they're at work. They can look out and see the view. Why not the small land recipients? Those are we need to start thinking outside the box, not coming up with excuses to deny this. Now, when my colleague, Patti, Remember they're talking about the contaminated the water? Well, maybe we need to ask GWA and EPA. Don't just test Jigo. I live in Jigo. And I understand that. I know for a fact I was the first one to donate cases of water. I donated 50 cases of water the next day after that hearing. But why don't we test all the wells? And then when, remember when they talked about that contaminant, that's from insecticide, right? Check everywhere.
Let me. We are KGUM FM in Dedido, Guam. I need to ask you about the Paras land and the CLTC returning or in favor of the bill that would return the land back to the Parases. Do you have any objection to that part of a deal with the Parases to give it back?
Well, we need to take a look at this appropriately, right? Okay, Patty, because my understanding of what I've been reading, okay, I haven't sat down and done a bunch of research on it, but the property was bought by GovGuam. If anybody wants to return anything to anybody, it should be bought back. Okay, let's start with that. It should be bought back. And the next one, whatever vision the Small Land Trust had intended for that property, it should seriously consider either pursue it, or if your intent is to return it, I have no objection to that. The Paris family, they're good people, okay? But if the Paris family was paid for that lot, they need to buy it back. That's one. The next one is that then if you do get them to buy it back, then make sure that funds for Small Land Trust is used again for the infrastructure and the improvements on the leases that are given out. That's where I would stand on that one right now.
It sounds like in reading this case even further that the conditions of the sale went beyond the purchase price, that there were other provisions of that sale that were not related to money. And so the Paris family maintains those other provisions were not fulfilled by the government of Guam. Therefore, the terms of this agreement are now null and void, and it just has to revert back to them.
Well, you know what they normally would say, right? Take it to court. Let the court decide and let them clear the air on deciding what was not fulfilled, and we move on. I mean, if it's whenever Congress is claimed to be null and void, that's one-sided. Go to court. Let the court decide, is it null and void? Is it, in fact, valid, whatever they're claiming, or whatever the government should be claiming?
The Paris family says that GovGuam never came through with an additional $2 million in construction equipment that was supposed to be part of the original land sale. So that's already been documented in a public hearing on the Bill 32. Are you going to need more information before you entertain this bill?
Well, I'm going to have to look over that bill and all the response has been given to the bill, and then determine which side should I lean on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough. Senator, you good? Are we good? We're cool? Everything's all right?
Are you good, Patty?
I'm good, baby. I am good as good can be. And I'm glad to hear your voice. Thanks so much for calling in. I do appreciate it, sir.
All right, Patty. Be safe. Take care.
You as well. Take good care. That's Senator Joe Sinaga. He's actually a guy that I knew even before he became a senator when he was working at Revan Tax. And I've always, his family and my family go way back in just their loyalty and dedication to the community of the parish community of Dedido, and the relationship between his father, the late Speaker Joe T., and the contributions that the St. Augustine family has made in a whole to the Dedido Catholic community is unrivaled for sure, and his name clearly is synonymous with that parish. I've known them since then, and admirable family indeed, and especially with the Honorable Joe T. St. Augustine. There's nobody who does not remember the value of his contributions to policy making as well as his impeccable statesmanship. We are at kind of after the top of the hour, but we did the ID, and so Polly says we're good on that. I just found that out. Again, we are KGUM-FM in Dedido, Guam.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. The military is designed to handle foreign threats, but at a gathering of commanders in Virginia today, President Trump shared his vision for using the military for domestic purposes.
San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places, and we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war, too. It's a war from within.
In Portland, Oregon, where National Guard troops could arrive this week, City Council President Alana Purtle-Guinea.
The National Guard in Oregon, and these are Oregonians that we're talking about, are used to being deployed to support their communities when we have major fires. This type of law enforcement action is certainly not what Portland is asking for.
There is a government shutdown looming. It could happen overnight if no deal is reached, and that doesn't seem likely. CBS's Nicole Killian's been talking to federal workers about how they will be impacted.
They talked about how this has overall, since the start of this year, with the DOGE cuts, with the gutting of federal government, that it has really impacted morale. And they're kind of operating from a standpoint of, look, whether it's a shutdown or not, we're kind of under this understanding that we could be fired at any minute, whether that's legally or illegally. So, many of these workers are trying to take it in stride. Also, at the same time, though, knowing that they're going to still have bills to pay and, really trying to strategize and think about how they will get through a shutdown.
Hamas says it will study President Trump's latest peace plan for Gaza. Deborah Potter reports from Tel Aviv. We could learn its response soon.
Sources close to the process have told CBS News that Hamas is leaning towards accepting the peace plan and will hand over their response to Egypt and Qatar tomorrow.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has already thrown his support behind it, and if Hamas refuses, the U.S. could give Israel an even freer hand to continue its offensive. CBS's Michael George reports on new research showing why it's important to pay attention to warning signs about your health.
99% of people who had a heart attack, stroke, or heart failure have warning signs ahead of time. That's according to a new Northwestern University study that finds key risk factors almost always precede cardiac events. Those risk factors include high blood pressure, cholesterol, glucose, or a history of smoking. These findings challenge the idea that heart attacks and strokes often happen without warning.
On Wall Street at this hour, stocks are lower ahead of a potential government shutdown. The Dow is off by 135. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit Progressive.com.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment.
Visit mintmobile.com/radio.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Major League Baseball's second season gets underway today with 4 wild card matchups. Reporter Erica Herskowitz.
First up, the Tigers visit the Guardians. Then the Cubs host the Padres before the Yankees and Red Sox meet in the Bronx, where starter Garrett Crochet will face fellow southpaw Max Fried.
When I step between those lines, that I'm competing, leaving 100% of everything I have out there. There's no guarantee that I'm going to have another start. So from here on out, this could be the last one. So we're going to kind of empty the tank.
After the Yanks and Red Sox, the night wraps up with the Dodgers Dodgers opening up their best-of-3 wildcard series against the Reds at Chavez Ravine. Erica Herskowitz for CBS News.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's downplaying President Trump's climate skepticism and has thrown his weight behind the Vatican's environmental initiative. He says individual choice and the moral leadership of the Catholic Church are more important than politics. He's devoted time to environmental causes since leaving politics. I'm Cammie McCormick, CBS News.
Hafa Adai, Guam. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. This is the Wave 105 FM, and we are streaming live. You can find us online at thewave105.com. Like, subscribe, and do follow our YouTube channel. That's Wave 105.1 FM Guam. Mornings with Patti is being brought to you by our friends at Chili's Grill and Bar, the Medical City, where patients are partners. Take Care Insurance Company, Our Island, Your Health Plan, Subway, Eat Fresh, Bank Pacific. Where others put branches, we place roots. Visit bankpacific.com today. Wise Owl, the wise choice in animal care. GTA, we start with you. Patch Tinting and Detailing, and Sherwin-Williams Paints. We have your local headlines for you right now. It's Skylar Obispo from the Marianas Business Journal and the Guam Business Magazine, brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's is bringing on the fall flavors. Visit us today and treat yourself to the pumpkin and cream pie, pumpkin spice latte, or pumpkin iced coffee. Hurry in for a limited time. It's only with our friends at McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Buenas and Hafa Adai. Here's the latest from the Marianas Business Journal. U.S. Coast Guard cutter Oliver Henry wrapped up a 22-day patrol in the Western Pacific, covering more than 4,200 nautical miles between Guam and the Federated States of Micronesia. According to the Coast Guard, the patrol blended maritime law enforcement, regional security, and community support in the FSM. The Oliver Henry delivered 2,000 pounds of supplies to 3 atolls in the region and conducted 5 boardings of tuna longliners in the FSM's exclusive economic zone, alongside the FSM National Police Maritime Wing. Commanding officer of the Oliver Henry, Lieutenant Ray Serrato, said the patrol helped strengthen ties with U.S. partners in the Pacific through the operation's shared maritime law enforcement efforts. In more news, Pacific Unlimited Incorporated has been awarded a maximum $980 million firm fixed price, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract for full-line food distribution, according to a September 30 release from the U.S. Department of War. Founded in 1986, Pacific Unlimited is locally owned in Guam and is a full-service food logistics company that specializes in the supply and delivery of perishable and semi-perishable food items and food service supplies to restaurants, hotels, schools, and federal government facilities. Additionally, Lockheed Martin Corp. was awarded September 24th for a sole source hybrid cost plus fixed fee and cost plus incentive fee contract modification under the Aegis Ballistic Missile Defense Weapon Systems contract. The total value of this contract modification is $44.15 million for work that will be conducted in Morristown, New Jersey, and in Guam. Reporting for the Marianas Business Journal, the Wave 105 and Power 98, I'm Skylar Obispo.
The report cards your home needs to ace. I'm Greg McBride with the Bankrate.com Personal Finance Minute. School kids have report cards, you have a personal credit score to maintain, and your home also has a variety of reports and grades that it needs to do well on. As a homeowner, there are several key ones you need to understand, starting with a CLUE report. It's a record of every insurance claim filed on your home in the last 7 years, and it could make selling your house a little more challenging if there have been persistent problems. The next is the WALK score, which indicates how walkable your neighborhood is. That's important because surveys show that a majority of younger homebuyers prefer communities where they can get out and walk. And one more score to pay attention to is the flood insurance rating. The risk of flooding where you live can affect whether you can get insurance or even a mortgage. Flooding is not covered by standard home insurance, so if you live in a high-risk area, you will need a separate flood insurance policy. For more on this, visit Bankrate.com. I'm Greg McBride.
How much work will AI eventually take over? How about all of it? I'm Jeff Colvin of Fortune Magazine with the Fortune Business Update. No one knows the answers to those questions, but various technology experts are coming up with startling suggestions. The CEO of the AI company Anthropic says AI could eliminate half of white-collar jobs in the next 5 years. Vinod Khosla, a legendary Silicon Valley investor, says AI will be able to do 80% of all jobs by 2030. And now Roman Yampolsky, a professor of computer science, predicts AI will take over virtually all jobs. The only jobs that survive will be those that AI could do, but for whatever reason, people prefer a human does it. As for how we'll all make money, well, no one has figured that out yet, though the tech experts say there will be plenty of it to go around. I'm Jeff Colvin.
Hafa Adai, Guam. Yep, it's me, the Guam Guy. And you can catch episodes of my podcast, The Guam Guy Show, not only on YouTube and Spotify, but every Friday at 11 a.m. on Wave 105 FM.
At Wave 105 FM, we're more than just a station. We're your platform, your voice, your conversation. We're talking about what matters most to you today and in our future. And we want you to be part of it. Got something to say? We're listening. Different opinions? Bring them on. Let's talk, let's debate, let's connect, because every voice counts. Call or WhatsApp us at 671-922-1051. And if that line's busy, hit us up at 922-1052. This is Talk Radio for everyone. This is Wave 105 FM, the Talk of Guam.
Hafa Adai, Guam. Engage in a conversation made for the veterans of Guam with Johnny and Miss Bobby. We want to hear concerns and comments. Tune in every Wednesday for our new time, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Wave 105, the Talk of Guam.
Alrighty, guys. Okay, welcome back. This will be your last look at this morning's Real Deal Traffic Report. It is being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot, where you can schedule a test drive by calling 478-AUTO or check out our inventory. It's on our website at guamautospot.com. And mobile gas stations. Mobile Oil Guam. Go farther on every journey with Mobile's new Synergy Supreme Plus Fuel. Keep your engine 3 times cleaner for the best gas mileage. You can visit guam.mobile.com for more details. We are at the 8 o'clock rush hour on the streets of Guam. If you're coming around the Micronesia Mall along Route 1, whether you're coming from Jigo or flowing into Dedido, you are going to have some wait time. Route 16 has also got some delay, especially coming out of this underpass here. Route 10, that's going to be in Barragata. Traffic is light getting around Antla. No delays there. Route 8, Mongmong to Mighty. That is going to change up for those of you trying to flow into Harvest Christian Academy or Hagåtña outside of the Superior Court of Guam. Asan, PD traffic is light, as well as those of you on the southern end of the island. We would like to remind and encourage all the motorists to please watch your speed limit. Eyes on the roads, not on the phones. There's no texting and driving on the streets of Guam. Ensure that your seatbelts are fastened. Remember, guys, seatbelts are sexy. This is your Real Deal Traffic Report here on the Wave 105 FM, and it's all being brought to you by our friends at Guam Auto Spot and mobile gas stations.
Hafa Adai, Guam. Yep, it's me, the Guam Guy. And you can catch episodes of my podcast, The Guam Guy Show, not only on YouTube and Spotify, but every Friday at 11 a.m. on Wave 105 FM.
At Wave 105 FM, we're more than just a station. We're your platform, your voice, your conversation. We're talking about what matters most to you today and in our future. And we want you to be part of it. Got something to say? We're listening. Different opinions? Bring them on. Let's talk, let's debate, let's connect, because every voice counts. Call or WhatsApp us at 671-922-1051. And if that line's busy, hit us up at 922-1052. This is Talk Radio for everyone. This is Wave 105 FM, the Talk of Guam.
Hafa Adai, Guam. Engage in a conversation made for the veterans of Guam with Johnny and Miss Bobby. We want to hear concerns and comments. Tune in every Wednesday for our new time, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Wave 105, the Talk of Guam.
Hafa Adai at Wave 105 FM. We want to talk. We want to talk about the things that are important to our island and our community, and we want to talk with you. If you want to join the conversation, if you want to chime in, we welcome it. We welcome all points of view, all thoughts, all perspectives. Call or WhatsApp us at 671-922-1051. If that line is busy, then call us at 922-1052. This is Talk for Everyone. Thanks for listening to Wave 105 FM, the Talk of Guam.
Are you planning a trip to the Philippines? Why not come back feeling healthier and more rejuvenated? At the Medical City, we offer world-class healthcare services, including comprehensive executive checkups and top-tier aesthetic treatments for as low as $530. Imagine lounging on white sandy beaches, shopping at top-tier shopping centers, and indulging in premium healthcare all in one vacation. Book your getaway now and experience the best of both worlds. The Medical City, your trusted partner in health.
Hafa Adai Guawasi Pali Suba. Don't forget to catch the bright side every weekday afternoon from 2 to 6 on Wave 105. From big laughs to big issues, if it's happening on island, we're breaking it down with island leaders, business owners, and you. I want to send so much love to our sponsors, Micropack, Local Jerk, GTA, Sherwin-Williams Paint, Chili's, and Subway. Take a break from all of that shade and join the bright side on Wave 105.
Every company needs money for investments to help grow our working capital to take on today's economy. That's why Bank Pacific's commercial loan officers stand ready to help you. We offer several programs tailored to assist companies to get to the next step, or perhaps for a startup, including working with SBA and GITA. Bank Pacific. And we want to be your partner. Equal opportunity lender. Credit conditions apply.
Hold your doors, lock your windows, turn off your lights, and come with me into the Weird Darkness. I'm Darren Marlar, the host of Weird Darkness, every Thursday night from 6 to 8 here on Wave 105.1. Every week on Weird Darkness, you'll hear 2 hours of stories of the paranormal, supernatural, legends, lore, crime, conspiracy, mysterious, macabre, unsolved, and unexplained. Weird Darkness, this Thursday night at 6 on Wave 105.1.
6 o'clock to 8 o'clock every Friday evening. Join Rand and Jenny Kaufman for The Edge of Heaven, a talk show to take you to the fifth dimension where you find out who you are. What is the purpose of your life? How can your purpose be fulfilled? What motivates you to do what you do? What are you searching for? What keeps you going in your day-to-day life? What is real? Why do you care? Why do you work? Why do you love? Sponsored by Burger King, Jay Goodman, and Asmujao Community School.
Keep the dial here. Your radio loves it. Wave 105 FM.
Bad Bunny's, collector's album.
Oh man, poor Bad Bunny.
He's taking some hits, man.
He's getting some strong ones too. Oh, poor Bad Bunny. Poor Bad Bunny. Oh my God.
Let me sip this coffee.
So it's kind of mixed with Bad Bunny performing at this year. I didn't even know that was why he didn't, his performance in Puerto Rico and why he doesn't do concerts in America. I didn't know that. Wow.
And he was very clear, it's like all of the people, the Latino-speaking community was coming out, and the odds were for him pretty great that they would be met with ICE. And he didn't want to draw out people to come to his concerts, and then they get nabbed trying to get to their cars.
Trying to do that.
And when they started snatching people off the street, and a federal judge ruled that ICE can profile, that meant you and I walking down the street could be questioned. There you go. Right? Because we fit exactly what it is, right?
We just look sus.
Yeah, we do, because we're of color and we've got brown hair and brown eyes, right?
We fit the profile.
Yeah, so we fit the profile.
Yeah, that's scary.
That is kind of, we don't have to deal with that here because everybody would get detained. Because we're all, everybody here is diverse, right?
Hey, they're speaking Mexican. Be like, dude, it's tomorrow, bro. It's chamorro.
Oh,
dude.
yeah.
Come on, it's not Spanish, dude. It's chamorro.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not-
And although
it's
there are some
chamorro,
words
dude.
in there that sound like it's Spanish.
Be like, dude, don't speak chamorro if you're in Oregon. Oregon, they're coming.
They're coming for you, Portland.
They're coming for you, right? They are.
There was this guy. I don't know if you've seen him on TikTok. I just saw it last night.
Okay.
This guy was riding his bicycle, and he turned into a nest of ICE agents on the street. Okay. And he's just on not an e-bike, like a regular pedaling bike, and he yells, "Hey, I'm not a U.S. citizen!" And they bolt running for this guy, and he leads them on this sharp turn. They couldn't get him on his bicycle. And he escaped. They were running down the street trying to get this guy. And all of it was because he just yelled, "Hey, I'm not a U.S. citizen."
Don't provoke these guys. Don't do
man.
it. Don't provoke them.
You're in for the wrong. Yeah,
Don't do it.
Try to avoid it at all costs. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, oh, okay. Thank you for the King's food.
Yes, thank you guys. Appreciate
Thank you to
it. We
King.
love Kings.
Well, thank you to Dice.
Yes,
Dice was practicing her good to go skills.
I was working on it.
And so they
I was gonna do a reel, but it came in too quick. I was like, "Oh, you ruined it."
Oh, darn it!
That was
You
supposed to be a King's good to go reel, but I'll do
should
another
we
one.
call him back?
No, I'm gonna do another.
Oh
one
man,
later.
you should have told me. I would have detained him.
You gotta don't.
He was profiled as a good to go driver.
I know.
I could have.
I was gonna do a fun reel with him.
Oh,
but that's
darn
okay. No, we're gonna
it.
do another one. We'll do another one. but
Oh,
that's
so
okay.
what are you ordering next time?
We're gonna play.
Should I
short.
order next time?
No.
I
we're
can
good,
order
we're
from
good.
King's next time. I know the owner.
We just gotta time it. Yeah, I just gotta time it better next time. But it's all good. Thanks, Joe. Because King's comes in clutch. Their fried rice, their sausages. You know,
I've
what?
never had this
I love
before.
these guys.
I've never ordered this dish.
Oh man! And
You
I like-
ordered a fried. It's like fried rice, right?
I know.
With eggs.
I was
and-
debating between that and that country steak something bread.
Oh, country fried steak?
Is that what that is? Oh, I love the gravy. It's the gravy for me. The gravy.
Oh yeah,
is
the
so-
white gravy.
Oh my.
Have you ever tried their hash and eggs?
No.
Mm.
Oh, Betty. Ah,
It's corned beef hash.
Okay.
Underneath a hash brown.
Okay.
Underneath eggs.
Oh, we got a lasagna of
eggs
okay.
and hash.
That's what it's layers
I order
here.
it with the country gravy, the white gravy.
Yes,
And then
yes.
slather it all over.
Dude, it's so good, man. I mean, you got to go in on that gravy. I don't know what they put in their gravy, but you know what, Kings? You guys do a great
They put
job.
kingly
I love
stuff in it. Yeah.
You know what? Thank you, because a couple of highnesses here, so we do need that treatment. Thank you. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you so much. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay, where are we at, Patty?
Um,
Thank you, Senator Joe St. Augustine, by the way. We appreciate you.
It's good.
And, you know, get an iPhone, sir. Get an iPhone. Get an iPhone.
Yeah,
What was
yeah.
he using? A Nokia? What was that device that he was calling us on? Be like, Senator to the chat, please.
I call it
Senator.
old man phone because I have
What
one.
kind of phone was he using?
I'm pretty
like,
sure he was using it, but he was Bluetoothing,
Senator.
and he has
Okay.
hands free because he was in the car, and the monitor is actually the radio.
Okay, I got you.
You know what I'm saying? So the whole I've been on the air with you guys where I have called in.
You called
and
in.
I have to bring the monitor down. I mean, the monitor is my radio.
Kind of bleeding in there.
But he said he couldn't hear me very well. Now, I wanted him to take it off hands free, and then hold the phone like old or put headphones on because
Okay.
that's helpful.
Oh, thank you. But that's great.
But
That's
you
great.
know,
We appreciate that
he was
call.
probably on his way to his
awesome.
morning ritual before they go into session again at 10 o'clock this morning. And so, when you can get these lawmakers
He didn't
like
deliver
this,
cheap water, by the way. I mean, it wasn't like
Oh, really?
them little mini. No, man.
No, he did
he
like
got the
the-
big guns.
Oh,
just
good.
for the record, everybody like, oh, it's just what? No, he donated the big guns. It wasn't the little thing. So thank you, Senator. We appreciate it.
Oh wow, that's cool.
it was
Good,
big guns.
good.
Thank you.
He said, he lives in Gigo. His family's from Dedido, but he lives in Gigo, and everybody out there has got.
So kind of him.
Well, that's how we do, isn't it?
Wonderful. Yeah, I love that. I like that.
Yeah, that's how we do. So I don't know. I think. Okay, wait, hang on. I'm just gonna. Okay, all right. I think I'm all caught up with my WhatsApp. Have you purged yet? After you tell me, because you were telling me about your updating. You
yes.
you updated the iOS.
iOS 26.
iOS 26. I tried to. So I took my cue from you because you've been ranting and raving at how wonderful this is.
It
right?
really is.
So I went.
Okay.
Let me see. I went to find my apps because it says I had too many.
I believe that. I certainly believe
How
that.
do I cut out? There used to be. I remember there used to be a way. It used to be a way that I could get into these apps and then like make them dormant.
Make them dormant.
Like
Okay.
I don't need all of these apps going on at the same
No,
time.
you don't. No, in your settings, right?
Okay, I'm in my
All
settings.
right, you're in your settings, and then scroll down to apps in your settings.
All right, I'm
all
in
the way
apps.
down there.
Yeah.
All right, and then click on the apps that you are struggling with, and just turn those bad boys off.
No, see, if I do that,
You want to turn them off, or you want to remove it completely? What do you?
I don't want to. I just want to turn it off, but then I'm not using it.
Yeah. So if you click on
Cellular data? No.
No. I'm sorry. Settings in your settings.
Yeah,
scroll
and then
all the way
way down to apps. Here I am, apps.
Yep. Click on that.
Okay,
right?
now look what that configuration is.
Yeah.
Usually, I've seen it where you don't have to open the app to close it.
Oh,
You see what I mean? This is like all of these are. There's some of them here that I don't even use.
Just remove them. Delete those.
I don't know when I'm gonna want it.
You want it back? Well, you can just.
Well, how do I turn it off?
Anything that you remove from your home screen will
You can
still be in your
cluster
app
them.
library. Yeah, will still be in your app library. Yeah, I cluster all of mine. I have to put mine together.
How do I cluster it?
You can.
This
click,
is not
hold, and
anybody
drag.
else's business. Nobody cares.
hold,
It's just
and
you and me
drag.
sitting
I
here.
know.
This is you trying to school me at the patience of the people
They
who are
have
listening.
great features, really great features, guys. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend
All
it.
right.
Great features on the new iOS 26.
I'm coming late to the
guys.
party on
Get
that,
on it.
so.
I mean, the tab bars are dynamic. They got in-place alerts going on, easier access, clear icons. The widget. I'm sorry.
Sold.
Yeah, it's just really great. The camera, Patty. The camera. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah, the photos. 'Cause you're always
I
struggling with
feel
your
like
pictures.
I feel like I could launch small wars from my phone. I really do. I just don't know how. And
Press the wrong button.
I
There
could,
it goes.
and I feel like I'm always going to do that.
Oh, don't do it, Patty. Don't do it. Yeah. Just visit GTA today, and they'll be more than happy to help you.
No,
okay?
they'll
GTA.
be like, oh my God! Hey, everybody, we got a live one. We got a live senior citizen here.
And they're so friendly at GTA. They're really friendly at GTA. I appreciate them. And they do that just because they're trying to get you to buy another phone. GTA, that's not happening. But thank you, good try. Thank you, good try. Love your service.
Oh,
too.
that cluster. Okay, I've done that. What does that mean, though? Okay. I know what she's saying. She clustered them in, and I do have that. Like under utilities, social platforms, I have a news, I have a finance, I have travel. That's
Okay.
what you mean by cluster them.
Oh, and the new travel apps are really cool.
Oh, really?
They do. Whatever language you want. And because you like those little, I don't know why you wear those, but whatever. You need like real AirPods, but whatever. Anyways, those things that you like to wear, they actually, they translate for you.
These ones?
Yeah, it'll translate for you. Yeah. So if you are like, for instance, in Japan and you're talking to somebody, it'll
like a Google
translate it straight
Translate?
through there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll translate and make sure that you're pronouncing the words correctly.
Oh.
Or you can share that with whoever you're talking to and have a conversation. Yours will be in English and it'll translate into Japanese.
Oh, like they do at the UN.
Yeah, you like that?
Oh, yeah.
iOS 26 does that. iOS
Okay.
26. So you can talk and then it'll translate to whoever you're talking to. I think it's really cool.
Okay.
It's really cool. And yeah.
I'll
enjoy
have
the
to
new
try to
features.
close some of my apps because it says unable to download. Like I went to it earlier this morning. It was like 3:00, and I figured, okay, I'll just update, and then it said that I have to get rid of some things. Unable to download.
Oh, you got.
This update cannot be stopped because it requires at least 18.24 gigabytes
what do you
of
have?
available storage during installation.
Are you out of space?
So
Patty?
manage.
What do you have?
So my applications are in the red zone. My music is, mail's good, messages are good, music is good, photos are good. Wow. Well, photos and applications. I have too many.
I would have to say so. Yeah.
How do I?
Well, you don't have drive space, so you got to start deleting some stuff, Patty. You don't have any drive space, yeah. Or you can buy more drive space.
Downloaded videos.
Yeah, you
what?
That would
These
take-
are from Disney Plus. How did I download this?
I don't know. You're out of drive
So I can get.
space.
Oh, dang! Look at all these. How come I have so many of these?
You know what? I had to do the same thing with my mom's phone. Like if you're in several group chats, those photos and videos are automatically stored on your device.
So what
So if
Disney
you have,
did was all of
it's all
the
gonna go in
new
there.
stuff they downloaded for me.
I'm telling you, get on it. It's liquid glass. These features are amazing.
Like from one queen to another on Disney.
It's really cool.
Oh, and on Netflix. So let me get rid of That's 356 megabytes for some of these shows that are showing on Disneyland on Disney
You watch
Channel.
Disney on your phone?
No, I have Disney Plus because it also has Hulu and it has ESPN. It's a bundle.
Yeah. Okay.
Ice Kingdom. I don't know who you people are. Stop it.
Oh, you still have Disney Plus? You didn't boycott that?
I tried to. I actually might not still have it.
I might not still have it.
I tried.
You didn't boycott that?
No. I tried to do. I tried to
remove it.
To remove it. But it's kind of like Amazon Prime.
It is.
You know, if you're on Amazon Prime, they jack you into signing up or becoming an. And Amazon Prime for us, you know, includes like free shipping. That doesn't work here.
Right. I got you.
You know what I mean? So Amazon Prime is not worth it necessarily unless you, you know, I'm still having to pay for movies that are from a long time ago. So I'm not really getting anything out of Amazon Prime unless I'm in the mainland and expecting something to come in from the mainland.
I got
you know, already. Then it works on free shipping, but it doesn't. So I tried to get out of Disney. And I think I'm still on. Because you have to go through a lot of levels to get out of it.
It's going to be work. Yes, it's a little work to go in and out of there.
I was not.
But the features are great. When you finally get there, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a lot of fun. And it's so much easier, too. And because you travel a lot, you need these features, Patty. Sorry.
Do I?
You do.
Do I, though?
They do. And then, you know, it checks my blood pressure, if I'm going to get diabetes. I don't have cancer yet. Yeah, it's really good. I like it. It's really neat.
Well,
features.
I'm totally gonna see. I when it says offload or delete, I don't want to delete my Uber.
Patty, you got an Uber? This is you don't.
I needed it. I need it when I don't want to. I have an Uber account.
Maybe you just clean your cash out. You know what I mean? Just do that and just.
You just want me to start
just
all
do
over
like a
again,
nice
don't you?
sweep of your phone, and it'll just clean out like old stuff or duplicate photos.
Yeah,
or
I know. I went
videos.
through I went through the photos at 3:00 this morning, and I saw, what's this one from January of 2023?
It has really cool features.
And I was like,
guys.
and I looked, I was like, I don't care about this memory from January 2023. It was like some random video from the top of a apartment condo. I don't know what that was. I don't even, it was like of Waikiki. I'm like, why did I keep this? Maybe somebody was fighting on the street and I needed to take a video of it. Yeah, I don't know.
Veterans, military.
I'm a hoarder. I guess I could say that out loud. I'm a phone hoarder. I tend not to want to get rid of messages.
Okay.
I tend not to want to get definitely photos.
Okay.
I have 41,000 pieces of email.
Good. I'm not keeping that.
And I got to get out of it.
Yeah.
And the deeper I get in, I can't just look at it. Maybe I'm the only one that has this problem. But I feel like I'm a hoarder.
No, you're saving it for a reason, so that's okay, Patty.
Okay.
But you got to get on.
So if I
AI too.
offload, it keeps the documents and data. Reinstalling will place back your data if the app is still available for the download.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I can get rid of some of these
phone.
of these that I don't really.
Clean it out. It's fine. It's still going to be there.
Offloading it is like it's just like shutting it down.
You're hiding it in like a corner of your phone.
Okay.
You're setting it aside is all you're doing.
Setting it aside?
You're just setting it aside.
Okay, I can
still
set
gonna
it
be there.
aside.
You're just
I'm
gonna
good.
set
And then it
aside.
also shows me the download icon, so there's that. I think I got it. I think I got it. All right. I think I'm in the zone. I am one day going to be like you.
Not like me.
Like
You don't wanna do
I
it.
have so much
Don't
credit
do it.
that I don't have to get rid of something in order to use it, which is what my problem is right now. I've got too much junk on my phone.
I think I got a lot on mine too. But we got a warm call on.
Let's
line
go.
one for
I'm
you.
ready for it. Good morning, warm call. Who am I speaking
Hey,
with?
Patty, it's Dee.
Hey. How are
What's
you?
the app that Dice is talking about?
Oh, tell her, Dice. Tell her, Dice.
For what feature? For what feature are you looking for in particular?
So I'm like Patty. I'm a hoarder, and I have stuff. You know how like you have Apple Photo Drive where everything stores on your drive, but I still keep it on my phone. So I've got like thousands of pictures and videos of just stupid stuff, like Patty's talking about on top. I've got hermit crabs that I'm walking my dog and I'm taking pictures of.
That's me.
You know, like I got one of like snakes crossing the road and, It's almost like Neighborhood Watch, but Animal Planet. So I have like all these animals while I'm walking my dog, and then I take the picture and I share it on my chat groups, and they hate me for it because I'm like, anybody looking for a hermit crab? Anyone looking for their next dinner?
Okay, all right.
No one replies.
Okay, well, on the new update, you'll have it. If you have an iPhone on the new iOS 26.
What is it called?
It's called iOS 26. It is the latest
It's on your software update. You look on your settings page, and it says update available. It's that.
All the way to 26.
Oh, okay.
It's the 26
and then it's supposed to clean everything out?
It'll clean it out for you. You know what? It's so much fun, and it's very easy to use, all right? Navigating around it will be done with ease. No problems at all.
Okay. I'm the one that didn't delete Disney. I'm sorry, I've got a 5-year-old, and if I deleted Disney, we would have some major problems at home.
I got my Disney too. I wasn't going to do it because he came back anyways. Jimmy Kimmel's back on the air, so I wasn't.
Oh, yeah, and he came back with a gabillion viewers.
Absolutely.
So the other thing, too, is, Patti, you can't get rid of Amazon Prime. Your partner will burn the house down if he can't watch the next season of Lioness.
My partner can go get his own account.
He will. He's all about the next season of Lioness. So
that's so true. That's in fact, you know what? We had to watch the entire last season just because there was desperation.
Oh, got you. Well, he needs to get on Landman. That's the next one of Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh, really? Oh, don't tell me that. Tell him that. I don't care.
Yeah, no, you yourself will enjoy his character.
Okay.
It's all about oil tycoon and stuff like that. But Billy Bob Thornton, I think is Billy Bob's one of the best ever, man. I'm telling you, you'll get hooked onto that show. And season 2 is coming out in November, so. I'm just saying, we can't get enough of Taylor Sheridan because he did Yellowstone.
I haven't seen Yellowstone.
Wow.
I know.
I'm going to unfriend you right
I know.
now.
I know.
How is that even possible? I'm going to go talk to Polly at St. Anthony, and I'm going to pray for you.
I don't know. I just, it's like one of those things that I have to spend time doing. And I read so much that it's really difficult to get locked in. And the little time I have from the moment I walk out this door to the time that I'm going to sleep, you know what that's like. I'm answering phone calls all day and all night. So, yeah.
What I'm going to do
when I go on
Patti,
vacation. Okay, what?
What I'm going to do for you is find a friend of mine that has COVID, and I'm going to have her come visit you. So that way you could take at least 3 to 5 days off.
Oh, that will fix
work.
the situation. I'll just be on my deathbed trying to watch, the switch out for my health and trying to watch stupid Yellowstone. Great idea. You're getting stupider as you're getting older. How was your birthday yesterday?
It sure was, but thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that.
You know what?
For the upgrade.
I'll tell you, I don't know if there's camera. I showed up yesterday morning at 10:40. And
did you?
Yes, I did. To Sakura
I was
Kitchen.
inside.
Were you inside?
I was inside by myself for like 20 minutes waiting on them to show up.
Shoot. Well, I would have been.
You should have messaged me.
Here's why I went without telling you. I showed it because I was across the street. I went in there to pay your bill. And I sat out in the parking lot trying to understand how I was going to do that without letting you know. How stupid would that be? And then I decided lunch. So when do you want to go?
Because furlough is coming up, I'll be available anytime.
Because you won't have a job until they sign the budget bill? You're free?
Because I won't have a job, so I'll be looking for people to treat me.
Okay.
Because, we won't we're not getting paid during the furlough. So
no, you're not.
I'm open up for anybody out there that would love to hang out with me, and laugh.
Well, they're not going to sign the budget bill, and it's not going to happen before midnight tonight. So tomorrow, theoretically.
2 o'clock.
Okay, 2 o'clock. Yeah, 2 o'clock. You're right. Theoretically, you are free tomorrow.
I am, yes.
Okay,
theoretically, I'm free tomorrow, but they closed down our other restaurant. Did you know that?
Why?
I have no idea, but it's been closed for a while unless you've heard something different.
Wait, what other restaurant? Is there another restaurant we've gone to?
The pink one down next to Pico Cemetery.
Oh, really?
Every time I pass, yes. If anybody out there knows, I don't know why they closed it down.
No, that was. I hope it wasn't I hope it wasn't a food sanitary thing, because that's why the food tasted so good.
Yes. Well, I don't think it was a food thing, because I haven't seen anything out of. Is it public health that does it? Yes. I haven't seen any restaurants closing due to rated in the news lately. And you're pretty good at talking about that too, because some of the restaurants that closed down are favorites for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard anything. But every time I pass by, the shutters are up. There's nobody in the parking lot.
Oh, darn. Okay. Oh,
so
Laura
I'm not
said,
sure.
Wait a minute. Laura says, I called last week and they were open. They close at 5 p.m.
Okay, but we're talking lunch.
And close Sundays. But what about lunch, Laura? What about lunch? They close at 5 p.m., but we always go to lunch there, and we usually go around 11 o'clock. So
we sure do.
We could do that.
So
wait a minute. No, wait a minute. Or we could go to Downton Abbey.
Ooh. Okay.
Think about it.
No, because nobody will be there. We'll have the whole theater by ourselves.
I know, but we have a third party of this group.
I'm going to call her up,
and
I'm going to let her know. Can you just message me the time?
Okay.
Or we can look at the time.
Perfect.
Okay. And let's do that.
She'll have to.
Let's do a federal shutdown Downton Abbey.
We'll do a federal shutdown Abbey. Get it?
Yeah.
Federal
there we
shut
go.
Downton Abbey.
There you go.
Okay.
You're so good at what you do.
Yeah, you gotta wake up pretty early to beat me there, Dean. So, all right.
Okay, let's do the logistics later, and I'll talk to you guys later. You have 4 minutes left. Okay, goodbye.
Hey, thanks. I like her. I like
What's
her.
not to like?
I like her. You have 4 minutes left by. Hang up.
She's so much fun.
No, she's a hoot.
She's so much
Absolutely a hoot.
All right.
Well,
Good
so
one.
everybody had to listen to our plans for tomorrow, which means that everybody knows where we're going to be going.
Downtown Abbey.
Downton Abbey.
Downton.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay. I guess so.
Laura's going to find out if they open at 11. Okay. And I'm here for that. Okay. So, yeah, we do actually have 4 minutes left, and we're going to talk to Lori Marsh here in just a few minutes. They're doing, what is it called? What is it again? Construction. Okay. So Landon Idlet and his brother Brandon are at it again.
Yes.
And they are taking donations of canned goods from Be Heartfelt.
That's correct.
And the Cans for Humanity event is coming up on Saturday, and she wanted to get the word out. I've only heard her on the radio. I know she's been a guest of Polly's before.
Right on.
But I'd never actually interviewed Lori. And I actually met her one time.
Okay.
We'll talk about that. But in the meantime, we do have about 3 minutes before the top of the hour. We had a conversation just a few minutes ago with Joe St. Augustine, and I wanted to ask him what he felt about a couple of things. One is that Chris Duenas was talking about his opinion that the override of the veto becomes an era of tyranny, where the governor has had a grip on the island and on their branch of government, and it's the my way or the highway attitude. And he was pretty forceful in his description of how this administration exercises its power under threat and under tyranny. And so far, he hasn't received, at least from my knowledge, he hasn't received a whole lot of support for the actual use of the word. But that doesn't mean that people haven't supported him feeling that. I'm pretty sure that there are some doctors who have actually described this administration in such terms that, I will do whatever I want to do, and I'll do so instilling fear and intimidation. And that is a perfectly correct definition of tyranny or authoritarianism, or exercising overpower of something, over authority issue powers. And so I know that there are some people who are not fans of the governor who would believe that would be a perfect description of her kind of administration. But for the most part, I haven't heard that from anybody else. And so I kind of wanted to hear what his colleagues were thinking about it. And I asked Joe Sinagosin about it, and he would not agree that would be the correct way to describe the administration. And then I asked him about this legislative panel that Senator Duenas wants to create to do a deeper dive into how much the administration knew about the alleged PUA fraud case involving the lieutenant governor's family. And we pieced apart some of it last week when the idea first came up about doing it. And I did interview him. And there were some pros and cons to the ability to do something like this in order to get to the bottom of it. And then the con would be that the courts are already doing due diligence, and we should wait for that to happen. And I don't get the impression, Senator Joe Sinagosin, although he is running for governor, might be able to benefit from an investigation that would implicate the lieutenant governor or the administration if they knew something or they were less than truthful about what they knew about that alleged fraud case, right? And so it would benefit in him in that he's will be running against Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio. The problem with this is that I really don't know if somebody like Speaker Frank Bloss, who's also seeking a seat in the legislature, is going to agree to allow the legislature to do what might most likely be a parallel investigation of the case as the courts are doing. I don't think he's going to go for it. And I think the reason is because he had said it in 2 interviews that I'd done specifically about this question of ethics violations against Senator Tello Taitigui, while her case is also being adjudicated in the court. It's a suit now. And I asked him, will you launch an ethics investigation as a complaint has been filed by her former colleague, Tom Fisher? And he said no, that they won't enact they won't allow for an ethics investigation into Senator Tello Taitigui as long as that case is being adjudicated in the court. He said it would be the potential for interference in the court may not be the best way to handle. And so they're not going to convene an ethics committee. They're just going to wait to see what the court is going to say, which is the same thing that Chris Duenas is proposing, that there be an investigative panel while the court is adjudicating the case. So I can't imagine Joe Sinagosin, and he wouldn't, their take is moot only because the two of them wouldn't be involved in that investigative panel if they're trying to take the lieutenant governor's job. So those are 2 of his colleagues that are most likely not going to be able to do that. And I'm thinking that if Tello Taitigui is feeling the same way as the speaker, not to convene any ethics cases against her while it's being adjudicated in court, that she might also see a conflict. So whether or not this is actually going to happen remains to be seen, but the conversation has not been rendered moot yet. So we'll keep talking about it until we don't have to anymore. Right now, it is time for us to take a break. We're going to go hit some CBS News, and then we're going to entertain the conversation about what they're doing at the Gagnon Shopping Center this week, Cans for Humanity. We'll take a break here, 9 o'clock, KGUM-FM and Daddy Do Guam.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump addressed a gathering of military commanders today in Virginia. It was a wide-ranging speech that focused more on domestic issues and the president's agenda. CBS's Aaron Navarro has more.
He did announce that the administration will be spending $1 trillion on the military for the fiscal year. And at one point, though, he did say that major cities could serve as, quote, training grounds for the National Guard. Otherwise, this was more so rally the troops kind of speech, and a quick mention of the efforts to reach a peace deal in Gaza, with the president saying at one point about Hamas, quote, I hope they sign for their own good.
Armed federal agents are patrolling Chicago's streets, some in full tactical gear. Last week, they fired pepper balls and tear gas at protesters. Broadview Mayor Katrina Thompson.
ICE has to stop unprovoked chemical arms attacks on peaceful protesters and on journalists. This behavior is not normal. This is not Putin's Russia. This is the United States of America.
Chanel Cole reports Democrats are standing firm on their demands as the government shutdown looms.
They are saying they will not vote for anything that doesn't restore funding to healthcare that was cut by that so-called big, beautiful bill. Today, they talked about the impact those cuts could have on our access to healthcare. They're arguing that seniors will not be able to afford medication. They also argue that many families will simply forego getting critical care that they may need.
Drug maker Pfizer has agreed to lower drug costs under a deal with the administration. Pfizer will charge most favored nation pricing to Medicaid and guarantee that lower pricing on new drugs. It will also invest in more U.S. manufacturing. Scott McFarland reports the Trump administration is doing away with more oversight.
As one of its first acts in office in January, the Trump administration fired nearly a dozen federal inspectors general, watchdogs who policed for waste, fraud, and abuse. Now they're cutting funding, effective Wednesday, to the Council on Inspectors General, an organization that helps serve 14,000 inspector general staffers with training, with resources, with investigative tools.
Michael Wallace reports prosecutors are asking a judge to sentence Sean Diddy Combs to more than 11 years in prison.
In a request filed with the court today, prosecutors say Combs is unrepentant. They included letters from some of his accusers who say they live in fear of his release. Combs was acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy, but found guilty of 2 prostitution-related counts, each of which carries a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison.
Sentencing is set for Friday. On Wall Street at this hour, stocks are mixed. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
When I asked Scott Lucky if his last name had anything to do with his success in the trucking industry, he laughed and said, "Well, Mike, I guess you could say I've always been lucky." But when I asked him how he and his family grew Lucky Distribution Services into the company it is today, he didn't talk about luck at all. "We work hard," he said. "We keep a close eye on the bottom line, and we treat our people the right way." In other words, Scott Lucky makes his own luck, which is precisely why he switched to Pure Talk Business. "Last month, I paid the big guys $740 for 12 lines," he told me. "This month, I paid Pure Talk $420 for the exact same service." Thousands of businesses all over the country are saving real money by switching to America's most dependable 5G network, and luck has nothing to do with it. Just dial pound 250 and say micro. That's pound 250 micro to switch to a wireless company that works as hard as you do. Pure Talk.
No need to panic if you don't see your Social Security check. It now goes out electronically as of today. Matt Piper reports.
After 85 years of sending out paper checks to retirees, the Social Security Administration is transitioning to electronic payments. Paper checks are no more. The SSA instead will send benefits through either direct deposit or a prepaid debit card. The agency says paper checks are 16 times more likely to be lost or stolen. Plus, it says eliminating paper checks is also a cost-saving measure. Checks cost 50 cents each compared to 15 cents for an electronic funds transfer. But the agency says it will continue to issue paper checks to those who have no other way to receive payments. Matt Piper, CBS News.
Consumer confidence has slumped to its lowest level since President Trump's tariffs went into effect in April. It was worse than analysts expected. Consumers are worried about inflation, but also the job market. I'm Cammie McCormick, CBS News.
It's back! BK's Cheesy Breakfast Melts. Our cheesy breakfast melts feature your choice of sausage, bacon, or ham, layered with fluffy folded eggs, 2 slices of American cheese on toasted round bread. Make it a meal with hash brown and a brewed coffee or orange juice. Get your hands on the new Cheesy Breakfast Melts, now available during breakfast hours, 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. daily for a limited time only. BK Tumon Bay, Hagåtña, and the airport. You rule.
We're excited to announce that we're hiring for a variety of positions with some of Guam's most recognized and respected brands, including Coca-Cola, Foremost, Chili's, Glimpses of Guam, Subway, Good to Go, and Cinnabon. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take the next step in your career, there's something here for everyone. Explore current opportunities and apply today at applynowguam.com. Your next great opportunity is just a click away.
One pill can kill. Fake pills often contain fentanyl. It only takes 2 milligrams of fentanyl, equivalent to a few grains of salt, to be lethal. Fake pills are often sold on social media platforms, making them available to anyone with a smartphone.
Talk early and often to youth about the dangers of misusing prescription drugs and the lethal dangers of counterfeit drugs laced with fentanyl.
Stay informed, stay safe. One pill can kill.
This public service announcement is brought to you by the radio stations of Glimpses Media Group, Wave 105 FM, and Power 98.
At Wave 105 FM, we're more than just a station. We're your platform, your voice, your conversation. We're talking about what matters most to you today and in our future. And we want you to be part of it. Got something to say? We're listening. Different opinions? Bring them on. Let's talk, let's debate, let's connect, because every voice counts. Call or WhatsApp us at 671-922-1051. And if that line's busy, hit us up at 922-1052. This is Talk Radio for everyone. This is Wave 105 FM, the Talk of Guam.
Hafa Adai Guam. Yep, it's me, the Guam Guy, and you can catch episodes of my podcast, The Guam Guy Show, not only on YouTube and Spotify, but every Friday at 11 a.m. on Wave 105 FM.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show hosts, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
It sounds like elevator music. I'm down for it. Anytime you give me a little bass. So my friend Susan writes that she said that she managed to get rid of 5,422 emails.
Wow.
I don't know. And then she said
5,000?
5,422 emails.
Good Lord, Susan.
And then she says, Patty, it's called digital hoarding. I'm committed to clearing it all out before total retirement because hanging on to it all costs money for larger capacity. My oldest photo, check this out, is from 1997.
Oh, boy.
The oldest email is 2016. Yeah, you are more of a hoarder than I am. I probably would, in my other phone, I might have had 1997, but I only go back as far, like photos are back from 2014. Right, anyway, Lori Mars from Be Heartfelt. We can't see you on the. Are we good on the camera? We're gonna try. How you doing, girl? Good. You know what? Okay, yeah, yeah. You just got to talk right into that microphone, okay? And just get right up and personal, like it's a man that you want to kiss. Just go right in there. Oh, see, okay, girl, I see how you're doing it. No, I'm just joking. How are you doing?
Good.
I was telling these guys. Let me get this out of your way. So
Okay.
you know.
Thank you.
I was telling these guys that though I never met you, I've only spoken to you on the phone.
Yes.
I mean, I've only spoken. No, I'm sorry, I haven't even done that. I've only heard you in interviews with Polly.
Oh,
But
yes.
I've never interviewed. This was the first time.
Yes.
But I did remember that I
excited.
think I introduced myself to you because I'm nosy like that. You guys were doing a drive for the kids in Alley Shelter. Does that sound about right? Were you guys doing that drive, or was it for gain?
We were not. We're typically at Cost You Less.
Okay.
If we do a food drive.
Okay, it was a food drive.
Okay.
At Cost You Less.
Okay.
And they gave me a list.
Yes, a grocery list.
A grocery list, and I came back out. I thought it was you that I was talking to, but anyway, nice to meet you.
Yes,
how are
nice
you?
to meet you as well.
So, Be Heartfelt has made quite a bit of headway in the nonprofit world, and the work that you've done has also been able to have a pretty big impact on providing food resources for people. Talk to me about the organization first.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's such a compliment.
Oh, I hope it is.
Well, just because sometimes, right, when you're behind the scenes doing the work, you know that there's so much more need. So sometimes I don't slow down and just say, look at where we're at now.
Sure.
And, you know, someone will come up to me and be like, you know, that's only a small portion of the kids in need. And I'm like, yes, but look at where we've come. So I appreciate that, because sometimes I need to even remind myself that it's a journey.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm going to hit a number and it's all going to be gone. You know, food insecurity is going to be gone.
Yeah.
But that's my goal. My goal is food insecurity would not be something that children have to address. To me, that's a basic need, and that's part of humanity.
At what point in your life did you take up this organization and say, well, that was what I could do with the time that I really can't afford?
I love that. So I was volunteering for about 12 years with global nonprofits here on the island. And I was really doing it because I was a stay-at-home mom and I wanted to raise children who really understood that there were those who had needs. My kids have grown up fairly comfortable, and I wanted them to have more understanding of how I grew up, how their father grew up, and then have compassion and purpose. And so fast forward, I'm serving in other nonprofits here, Harvest House, Island Girl Power, at the time Oasis when it was here. And I started to see a gap. And I always said I would only become a nonprofit if I saw a gap. I started to go out with a school social worker and their outreach partner, and I was surprised.
Go out to do what?
So they do home visits. Okay. So the way it works is when a child is registering for school, the parents have to draw where they stay, especially because, right, these children that we're serving, they don't really have an address. And they're very tucked in the jungles on these back dirt roads. And so the teams, they go out to check on if there are resources, if there are obstacles in them being able to have attendance at school, and just to check the well-being. And so I was going out with them because I had heard from my high school friend, Kim Cable. She and I went to JFK, and then she went on to be a school nurse. And I saw that she had posted about children coming to school with an empty jug, filling it with water, and taking that water back to their families. And I thought, oh, surely not here. And so as I started to go out, I first started off with shoes. I thought that was a simple, easy thing that I could support. And so gently used shoes, because I need to have a closed-toed pair of shoes to go to school. And so it was shoes, wasn't a nonprofit yet, just going to do it with my time. And I was bringing my children also to the island because I was showing them where I was born, where I was raised, and then the love of the people and the needs of the people. That to me was very important. And so each of my children have gone out and served with me. And it just started to grow.
What were you seeing that startled you so much in these home visits?
So I had served globally, right? So I had served in the Philippines and also in Peru. And I think what bothered me is the fact that we are a U.S. territory, and I was born an American, and this looked more like a third world country.
The marginalization by comparison to a third world country was actually thriving here.
Yes, because there was no running water, often, no electricity. They were living with pallets as their structure and maybe a tarp, or particle board as their shelter. Yes. And that's what we continue to see to this day. And it's very hidden and very tucked in the jungles.
Are these Chamorro Land Trust lands? Are these lands that were given to them, and this was the best infrastructure you could provide because they were in line for trust lands?
I would tell you that anywhere you see jungles here is where people live.
Are living, whether or not it's trust lands or it's lands that their families have owned, but they can't afford the infrastructure.
Right. And I don't even ask that. I'm just trying to hit that basic need for the child. But what surprised me when I would go out is I would say like, okay, where are we going to meet? And we'd meet at like a big shopping mall. And I'd be like, okay, where are we going? And they're like, right over here. And I'm like, well, that's just jungles. But I think growing up here, we all kind of know you don't go on a dirt road without
knowing where you're going.
Yes. And they don't either. Or they go in teams. They don't go as a single person. And so they use their own cars, their own transportation. And I have to tell you, these are really dirt roads with some massive potholes. And they navigate very deep into these areas, and all of a sudden you see this is where a family is. And sometimes on that dirt road you will see one family we will go and see, then we'll go a little further on that dirt road and there is another family you will see. And so I was really surprised by the number and the way they were living.
So then this all became one bigger effort that has now reached into Be Heartfelt. And is it, and this is mostly about amassing as much, is it perishables and non-perishables, or just amassing any sustenance that can be given out to families?
So the way it works is this is specifically for children. And it's non-perishable food.
Okay.
And it has to be non-perishable food. That is the law. And we work directly with the school and that backpack. And so this program was already a nationally recognized program that I saw in the 50 states. And I have a few friends, because I volunteered in nonprofits, I ended up getting to know the owners of nonprofits, or people who, they became my friends, people who had the same kind of heart for the missions. So my friend runs one out of St. Louis for 350 elementary school children in her area. So I started asking them, how do these programs work? It was a school nurse, I think 40, 60 years ago, that created this program. And then people all over the 50 states have implemented it. And so nationally, it's recognized as Blessings in a Backpack. And so it's the concept that you're meeting that child's need at their direct source. So what I tell people is often these are children who, if their parents don't have transportation, right? That's part of what puts people in a position of homelessness. A car breaks down. We had a woman last week who messaged, and their only transportation just stopped working. So now she was in a frantic because she's like, I can make it to the mom and pop store for a few food items, but our resources are dwindling. And so I connected her immediately with the school social worker and the outreach team for what resources were available for her outside of just my meal pack program. But if hygiene kits, underwear, socks, shoes, those are the things that we offer. But for the meal pack program, it is that we have a donated pantry space. So we have 4 partners right now. A church that has an extra room, or they have some cabinets they have let us have. And we stock our food there. And then once a week, we have volunteers that come in, and we have it available for the public. I'm a big believer in transparency. I want people to see where their canned food is actually making its way. And I want them to see what I see, which is canned foods filling the shelves, and 3 months later, that pantry's empty. Because that's saying this is really working, and this is what we're really doing.
You're not stockpiling things like a food bank. You're,
right.
Yeah, what's coming in is going out as quickly as
Yes.
possible. How many recipients are you targeting or are you currently serving?
So we started off with 10 children at Benavente Middle School as our pilot program 3.5 years ago. Maybe in November it'll be 4 years. And it grew. I committed my own finances to those 10 children because I was passionate about trying to get this working, and that this was something that we see successfully in the 50 states, and I wanted it here on Guam. And a good friend of mine, a social worker, he said, if you're going to do another program, Lori, can you please do this?
Okay.
And so I said, absolutely. Of course, I was naive and thought it was going to be a little easier than it was. But we now have gone from those 10 children, and the Atlick brothers have been a big part of it growing, to 350 children per week.
Wow.
And this year, we even fed them consistently during their summer as well, because these are kids who are out of school, and that means
not sustainable food pantries.
Right.
Yeah, in
no
their own
free
homes, yeah.
free breakfast and lunch, which is what they rely on.
So when, for example, you're doing this food drive coming up for, not a food drive, the can for humanity coming up this weekend, what is it that you try to secure? Is it's mostly canned goods, all non-perishable items?
Yes.
And so what kind of canned goods are we talking? What's
easy open? And I don't mean, yes, in a perfect world, it would be a pop-off lid type thing, but something that you can easily open and eat. It's not going to be your pumpkin filling that then needs to go with other ingredients, because for a child, we're looking for that child to be able to, walking home, they could open it up and start eating it. Okay. We don't know exactly what that home situation is. And so, we're trying to make it fast, accessible to them. We even, I've been with a couple of school counselors that have even reminded the children, like, you can open it up and you can eat your fruit snacks right now, like instant food. We do add ramen every single week. I do understand there's a little bit more that it takes, but my hope is that, a kid could eat it without it being cooked, but it's such a staple, and it's such a loved item. My 21-year-old son lives off his ramen. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So.
All you need is hot water. So anything that you know that is readily available, safe to consume, that has an expiration date that's not coming up.
Right.
Right. So
the
don't
longer
get that
shelf life, the more we love it.
Yeah. So try not to get things that are expiring in a week just because they're 50% off.
Right.
Yeah, because I think that there's a tendency to try to when they call for canned goods, you're always looking for the stuff that you haven't eaten in a long time, or you bought it off the shelf because you thought that that would be a good idea. Then you realize that you never used it, and so 2 years down the line, you don't realize that there's a whole expiration action going on. So, absolutely, to that point, it's got to be safe for consumption.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
and once in a while, it just creates more work for our volunteers in the pantry, that they're not just stacking and packing meals, but then they're having to watch dates. And they do it. They're writing dates because our heart is that we're giving the kids as much and very little, if nothing, gets expired on our watch. So if they have fruit snacks that have come in and it has a 1 month shelf life left to it, they're getting 3.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's going out. It's going out
right.
because I want to be always very honoring of that donation too. I think having volunteered for as many years as I did, and not expecting to be a nonprofit, what I find is I think it was God training me. I went through about 2 years at many different types of nonprofits. One that served children in inner city, one that was for immigrants and refugees, one that was for the homeless in the streets of Kansas City. We service 300 to 400 homeless a day. All these different, types of nonprofits. It started to train me that worked efficiently. Oh, that ended up being something that was wasteful, or there wasn't really a need that it met there. And so for me, I'm always like gleaning. I always say, Lori didn't create this. I mean, I'd love to take the credit, but it's not.
Yeah.
I just look at what is working and
then
trying to
keep that going.
Yes.
So Saturday is a great day that's been set aside for donations to be made at a shopping center. You want to go ahead and explain how that's going to work?
Yeah, so it's really fun. So when I started working with Landon and Brandon, Landon said, you know what, let's turn this up. Let's not just receive financial donations for sponsoring a log, but let's do this event I've seen, which is Cans for Humanity. We've made the name change so it is in alignment more with the work they do, and it's canned food that you stack and you create these amazing structures. And they don't have to be fancy. Like I was saying to Dice last week,
yes ma'am,
you could write wave out of cans on the ground, and that can be the contribution. And then also, we do not have can openers.
Does we also need can openers aside from canned goods? What other items could we also donate?
I would say can openers would be a huge blessing. I think the thing that we've been concerned about is, would we have enough? Because we're serving 350 kids. And would the kid keep it? And make sure he knows where it's going, because I know kids lose things, and I wouldn't want someone to donate and then not. But I actually think it's a great idea because not all of our cans open.
Yeah.
I love it.
What else can they donate if it's not cans?
If it's not cans, so that's the other piece. The financial donations are needed because we're also doing juice boxes. We do granola bars. A luxury for us is milk, the little milks, right? So we tell people to snack size, not big boxes of cereal. We do big boxes of cereal at the holidays because that's when a child's going to be out of school for long durations.
Yeah.
And so we will do a large box of cereal at that point. But the rest of the year, we're trying to do something that also fits discreetly in their backpack, because the other piece of this is discretion. We want them to have dignity and respect. They have said middle school children will actually forego eating, even though hungry, because they are fearful of their peers knowing. So that's why we do it in a backpack discreetly at school so that they can take this home. No one knows. And that's the beauty of it. But then it's also where if you're not packing the meals, you don't come by our pantry, you're not seeing that we're actually feeding that many children.
Yeah. Wow, it's just it's very admirable and honorable and respectful work, and I really appreciate you being here. Tell me what time people should be showing up at again at shopping center. Is it an all day thing? How's that going to work?
It is an all day thing. So from 10 till 8, those are the hours of the mall. Teams will be coming in with their donations. So some people will come in with small donations. Like I said, just even to sign the word wave, right? You don't have to have a lot of cans to be a team that says, I stand to try and end hunger. And then we're going to have some big teams like Cost You Less. I love them because they always try to show up and outdo. And so they come in and it's like truckloads and it's an all day thing. Guam Girl Scout Troop 406. Can I tell you? I think they try to beat Cost You Less.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And
so
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. And this year, Kmart has said that they're going to come in. I just met their general manager, and she said they want to participate. So that's what we want. We just want different people to participate. Sunday is going to be public viewing and voting. Now, this year we have quite a few schools, and I love that because those are schools that are in our program, right? So they're seeing the meal packs discreetly go out to the children every week. And so they have found an NHS group in their school that's going to do the work. They've been asking for donations. So I say, go on our Instagram, check out your school, and drop off canned food. These schools really, they want to go for the win. So support them. Yeah. And then at 5 o'clock on Sunday, we'll do our awards, which are kind of fun awards. You know, all of this is for feeding the kids. So the first year, and I guess Cost You Less still has it, it's made out of canned food. It's made out of canned food. And it's just a trophy that's really representatious of the work that we are trying to do, which is end hunger in children.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Good on you guys. We'll be there. Saturday and Sunday are the days they're going to be erecting these monstrosities made out of canned food. Cans for Humanity. I really appreciate you being here, Lori. Thanks so much for educating us, and it's good to get to know what the organization is about with my own ears.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
I'm glad to meet you.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to meet you too. The feeling is mutual. Thanks a lot for all of the hard work that you guys do, and I know you don't get that often, but when you grow from 10 to 350, you're doing something great. And I'm here for it.
The community too, and opportunities like this. So
anytime,
thank you.
Anytime, our microphones are open to you, and you're more than welcome to call me as well.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Take good care. That's Lori, and she's with Be Heartfelt. Coming up this weekend, Cans for Humanity at the Ganya Shopping Center. We're going to take a break here and bring in our friends from Vet Talk. That's all coming up here on Mornings with Patti.
Can kill. Fake pills often contain fentanyl. It only takes 2 milligrams of fentanyl equivalent to a few grains of salt to be lethal. Fake pills are often sold on social media platforms, making them available to anyone with a smartphone.
Talk early and often to youth about the dangers of misusing prescription drugs and the lethal dangers of counterfeit drugs laced with fentanyl.
Stay informed, stay safe. One pill can kill.
This public service announcement is brought to you by the radio stations of Glimpses Media Group, Wave 105 FM and Power 98.
At Wave 105 FM, we're more than just a station. We're your platform, your voice, your conversation. We're talking about what matters most to you today and in our future. And we want you to be part of it. Got something to say? We're listening. Different opinions? Bring them on. Let's talk, let's debate, let's connect, because every voice counts. Call or WhatsApp us at 671-922-1051. And if that line's busy, hit us up at 922-1052. This is Talk Radio for everyone. This is Wave 105 FM, the Talk of Guam.
Hafa Adai, Guam. Yep, it's me, the Guam Guy. And you can catch episodes of my podcast, The Guam Guy Show, not only on YouTube and Spotify, but every Friday at 11 a.m. on Wave 105 FM.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show host, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
Today's school picture day at your your niece's school.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yes, I know.
That's
It's
me,
exciting.
right?
It's exciting.
Okay. She's going through documents.
What you
of
guys
mine.
are doing?
Nothing I can't say.
What?
No. I'm asking.
Auntie
I just
Bobby,
need
what you up
because
to?
she's the
Hi,
queen of anything veteran, and I'm asking her questions.
She
so.
would know.
Yeah.
She would know. Oh, and veterans, you guys get a 10% off on some new features on the new iOS 26. Man, you know what, Apple, you owe me money right now. Like,
Oh yeah, you're pushing it. Is the camera working for them? Cause
okay, almost not yet. Almost not yet. But
what?
This is what I'm gonna do.
You're disturbing Power 98.
Who's disturbing who?
I need the camera to get off me because I've just bit into her cookie on top of in front of all these nice people. Come sit down and quit screaming at me. Jeez, come to the door. You can tell Johnny's here. Mood change.
Yeah, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're just trying to. It's not me. It's them, right? We want the camera on them.
That's not plugged in.
Okay, never mind then. Hi guys. This is so delicious.
Sorry, guys.
I just bit in front of it's in front of the TV. How y'all doing? Everything okay?
Everything is fine.
Did you know that today is a day? Somebody said that they've opened up the commissary to military contractors.
No,
and their workers.
Yeah.
Today, October 1st.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like what's happening is that they're just not getting the kind of revenue that they need for that.
Probably.
But look at the prices.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The
what
prices
other-
One
have
steak,
changed.
$38.
Yeah, I don't buy steak up there. Mostly canned goods and dairy products, right?
Yeah.
And frozen items like chicken,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Not even
Yeah,
eggs.
yeah.
Produce.
Because even the steaks are sometimes better at Payless.
Oh yeah, that, I agree.
Yeah,
I don't
just
buy
go that's where I get
ground
mine.
beef. I get from there, and
Yeah.
maybe like breakfast meats. I get
Yes,
from there.
yes.
Those are good, but produce not so much.
Yeah.
No.
That's just out of my out of
Yeah.
the price range. Ground beef, not so bad.
Yeah.
But you're right to the steaks and all of that other
Steaks
stuff.
and even pork chops are going
Pork
up.
chops,
you know?
Yeah, and they
but
used to
one
be
thing
really low
one
in
thing I
price.
noticed
Right.
is, you know, the for barbecue.
Yeah.
You know, the pork ribs.
Yeah.
It's still the same, and it's good, and it has.
Oh,
to
you mean
be.
the price is still the same?
Yes,
Oh yeah,
but within
that is a
margin.
good meal. That is a
Yeah.
good purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The spare ribs up there. You know what else is a big thing of mine, because I feed an elderly citizen, and a lot of times, and he likes fruits and vegetables. Right?
Yes.
Well, a lot of vegetables more than fruit. So those items that I can't get, like okra,
Yeah.
okra's seasonal here. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
always have it. But they have the frozen fresh vegetables that are either steamable
Yes,
or you
yes.
can, microwave it or something. they are the quality. Even their cheapest brand is really good.
Yes, that's my go-to for produce is the frozen.
The frozen stuff. They say if you're going to eat, if you can't get the fresh stuff, get the frozen stuff because it's just basically fresh.
Yeah, they have some really good frozen like green beans. You can
Frozen
use
green
making tanak.
Girl, that's what I use, and it's not like the canned stuff that's mushy. Asparagus spears. How much is that going to cost you off base?
Right.
But those things are really a catch. It's
Yeah.
worth going up for.
Yeah.
But what are you staring at me for?
Because you got lovely hair.
Oh, you don't even want to know what it looks
Oh,
like.
we've been watching you all morning.
Did you? I have been trying. It was because Dice is my.
Yes.
Dice is the person
Don't
who
take it
tells me
down.
like
Yep.
she's like, don't take it down, or
take it down.
one of the two.
Don't do
Just
it.
don't take it down.
Don't take it down.
It's gotten out of control, so I need
You
to.
know, my
just,
first wife was a hair
dresser.
beauty. Yeah,
How'd that work out for you?
It worked out fine. Put her through school in California. She came back to Guam. She was the second.
You don't have any
one.
hair though. That's the problem.
Well, when he did,
When you did,
when I first met Johnny, he had an afro. Believe it or not,
was that a for real afro, or you
Yeah.
made it afro?
No, it was a for real afro.
Oh dang!
Yeah, I said.
Where's the picture? Do you have it on your phone?
No, I don't have it on my
Oh,
phone.
darn.
But that's how I met him.
Because
He-
of the afro?
He had an afro, and I said to my friend, who was his friend at the time, because I didn't meet him yet. I said to him in Chamorro, "Who is that man with the green eyes and the afro?"
Words I've never even heard
that was
before.
it, girl.
Who's
That
that
was
man
it.
with the
That
green
was
eyes
it.
and the afro? That's a song. Who's that man with the green eyes, afro?
Now look
now
at my
he-
afro. She's my beautician.
Well,
She cuts my hair.
well, she's done a fine job because
I
you
know
look
she
very
has.
handsome.
I know.
That's a shy moment. That's very rare. Very rare.
But
Anyway.
anybody going to Tejan, you got relatives there. The
Oh,
power
so
is off
Yeah.
3.
till
Till
3
3.
o'clock.
Yeah.
I passed by and I talked to the crewman. I says, "What are you doing?"
Just like that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I said,
Yeah.
"You know, I am the mayor of Tejan, self-appointed, self-elected." And they looked and they go, "Oh, well, we're changing hardware." I said, "Okay, that's fine. Tell that young man up there, please be safe. Be safe. You guys be safe. Till 3 o'clock."
Yeah. They put out a release
12.
yesterday. I didn't know. I only saw it this morning when I remembered that you live in Tejan, and I was
Right.
wondering whether or not you were going to come in here in a good or bad mood.
Oh.
Because when they don't tell you and the power goes out, that's not a good start for you.
Yeah.
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 Or when the water goes out.
8
Right,
o'clock, she
right.
says, honey, go shower while the power's still on." I said, "That's the water." "Oh, I got another thing about water, too."
Uh-oh, okay.
Oh, girl.
I'm ready. What happened?
If you look at your water bill, where's your purse, baby?
Where's your purse, baby?
If
You have your
look at-
water bill in your purse?
Yeah, I
He stuck it in there, I guess.
specifically stuck it in there. Included in our water bill
Mm-hmm.
is supplemental annuity charge. What the hell? What is
It's for for employees annuity.
employees annuity?
Retirement,
The
yeah.
retirement.
They've been
Why
that's been
am
in
I-
there for a long time.
Since
He-
not
it was
since
just- he
2013.
just noticed it.
Yeah.
I just found out from a retired.
Yeah, that's part of their bill.
I
You pay
said-
for employees insurance.
Since 2013, they've been charging each and every household an annuity surcharge.
How much do you have to pay for that? What is the surcharge?
$1.53.
Once a month.
Look, that's so generous of you.
One
Paying
month.
for insurance. Oh,
That's
no,
not
sorry.
insurance.
No,
It's annuity.
I'm
It's
paying
the
for,
supplement.
I'm paying for the
Annuity.
retirement.
Oh, the retirement. You're so generous, Uncle Johnny. Look at you.
Sapwit, dog.
That's since 2013. 2013. $1.15
They never paid
divided
for
by
my
carried to
Annuities?
annuity.
Well, we did.
Huh?
Taxpayers did.
No, I paid for my own. It's called Social Security.
Oh, well, I mean,
That's the only retirement I get.
you never got annuity after you retired.
Annuity? What's an annuity? I didn't even know what it was until he brought it up. But why are
It's a supplemental, so you get it if you retire before the age of retirement. They give you an annuity.
Girl, I'm 80 years old.
No, I know. I see you're well past the bridge there.
So why am I?
But
why
they
am I
give you an
paying?
annuity until you turn of age to collect Social Security.
I want Elon Musk to come over here and check out every account.
They got some. They got some.
Call Elon Musk. I'm crying.
Yeah.
I'm
What the
crying.
hell? I'm paying.
He said, "All
I'm
again,
paying
Elon
for
Musk."
He's in Mars.
Mileage and
since 2013. How long is that going to go on?
Until the last one of us is standing.
That is totally wrong.
Well, it's been in there
Totally
since how
wrong.
long?
2013.
2013. Yeah, it's been a while.
That's wrong. I'm not paying for it. That's like the dirty water. Then they found out the dirty water's affecting Dededo, Manilo, and Chalampago.
The Wi-Fi well.
Yeah, they found deodrum, this nest, and this stuff
Yeah.
in the water.
Wow, all the way to Manila, sir. Wow.
In Manilo.
In
Where in Manilo? Manilo.
Yeah, right on.
And Chalampago.
Okay.
And so, and they had the audacity 2 days ago to put in, these wells are affected, and we've known it since 2022.
Wow.
Why didn't the warning go out? That's why I got cancer now.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Here
And
we
am I
go.
upset?
There we go.
Nobody in the world
Here we go.
on Guam has my kind of cancer.
I got you, sir.
And I live in this infected area.
I'm sorry, Uncle.
Then
Ronnie.
on the bottom paragraph right below it, in the same article, we're raising the water rates 8%. How insulting! If I've been infected, I wouldn't pay a water bill.
I'm crying.
Well, that's what they are talking about. Sort of a
Talking
mass
about it,
civil
the people
war
of
out there.
Guam in these infected areas should rise up and fire everybody,
He
including
said
everybody in
fire
EPA.
'em all.
Fire them all. Put them up against the
fire
wall.
everybody.
Put them up
Fire
against
'em
the
all.
wall.
Oh my!
Nikki
That's
rifle.
you're
Nikki
poisoning
rifle.
me. You're poisoning my wife, my friends,
Yeah.
and then you're going to turn around and tell me you're going to charge me more.
Yeah, that's the painful part about all of this, and actually we wouldn't have noticed so much if it wasn't the timing.
Right.
Yeah. Fire them all.
Yeah, the
Sorry.
timing is like, oh hey, you got this in your water. We don't know how we're gonna credit you or not let you pay your bill or pay you back, but we're raising it another 8.1%.
Yeah,
that was tough for people.
That's
tough for
like
people.
telling me discriminately, you're not qualified to talk on Wave 105, and then slapping me
at the
across
same
face.
time. Well,
Get
we
out.
kind of do that.
I know.
We don't physically do it, though.
But it's fun. It's in our way,
Isn't it?
It's fun in our way.
At least you're not paying for it.
That's right. I'm not paying.
you're not
I do
paying
when I
for it.
climb those chairs. I mean,
The stairs. This is true. He does tell me every time I walk out the door.
Uncle Johnny, I'm
every
sorry.
time he's hot today.
I'm on.
He's hot
I'm on.
today. It's
You're
okay.
on. It's good.
okay.
It's good.
No.
And now they're opening up the base facilities to contract workers.
That's
Military
correct, sir.
contract workers.
Contract workers, yes, sir.
Today, October 1st.
Yeah.
So we're going to go in there in the heat of the flame of the rush. That's why they don't have sales. They don't have sales at the exchange and the commissary.
They don't. And because they've got enough people that are coming in there, they don't have to put anything.
And
in
I
this.
feel sorry.
They used to have container sales once a month.
Yeah, once a month.
Oh, they did recently have one, didn't they? Like a lot
Where?
earlier this year. They had a big one down at the Home and Garden shop where they were getting rid of like
we
parasails
must have-
and
we must
it
have
was
missed it.
huge. I saw the flyer for that. It was huge. In fact, a lot of people from you had to have access, but anyway, today apparently they're opening up the services and allowing for military contractors and their families.
Well,
to
the
be
old
able
thing
to
was
go.
if you're in uniform, you go to headline privileges.
And-
if you're in active
Right.
duty
Yes.
and in uniform.
Yes.
And I abide. I call the guys, get over here.
Yeah.
Get in front of me.
We do too.
Come on.
We've seen that where they have been, and you have to be socially aware of your place in these. That,
Exactly.
Yeah.
even if you are entitled to benefits, if you're in uniform, there's
Absolutely.
a whole nother level of respect that you have to have. And I didn't notice it, but Double L did. Leonard did, and there were two guys that were standing behind us, and he moved him, and they said, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
Well,
Because
I
they
mean,
don't even know.
Well, maybe
don't
not,
even
but
know
yeah, they're
their
like, "Are you sure?"
statuity.
Well, yeah, but there is a big sign overhead that says
Yes, it
uniform
does.
personnel go to the head of the line. But
Especially at
you know.
lunchtime, at a particular time like
Yeah.
lunchtime. And they come
Yeah.
into the delicatessen to buy a hot sandwich, a hot pastrami
Mm-hmm.
sandwich, or a whatever.
You mean over at
comp-
the on base at
On
the
base,
NEX
yeah.
at the food court?
Yeah, at the
Yes.
food court. Yeah.
Food court.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway.
I don't mind having them go ahead of me.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm in no hurry. I'm
well,
retired.
I mean, secondary, tertiary. You're not
Yeah.
in. You know what I mean? They're that is the reason why they do this, right?
Yeah.
So.
But anyway. So.
Yeah. Anyway,
Power's off at Teason, so you guys have been teasing till 3 o'clock. Your house is going to be hot.
We got statuity and annuity. I'm with it.
Statutory.
Statuity and annuity. I'm
Oh.
whatever you got, Uncle
I need
Johnny.
immunity.
Immunity.
I need immunity.
you sure do.
Oh, my God.
So, what are you guys going to be talking about today?
Oh,
What's on the docket?
The benefits of being a veteran.
Mm.
You know, copyright by. You know, we were voted by Pico's best #1 veteran talk show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's the only
Pico's.
one, too, isn't it?
No, there's
Yeah, in my category.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Hey, get
The
it
one
up,
that's
Johnny.
hosted by Johnny. Yeah.
Not Pica's, Pico's.
Right. They don't have Tom Devlin over there. We got him on this side, right? We got him on this side.
I tried to coach,
you go.
coax Tom Devlin into coming up to do the show with us. I says, I'll get a couple of veterans. We'll carry you up the stairs. He goes, no way. If we fall down, we're all gonna die.
That's true. Yeah, well, that's
We love Tom
unfortunate,
Devlin.
but I know that he calls in every
Yes.
day, so that's
He'll be
not
calling
really-
in.
We love Tom
Yeah.
Devlin.
And it's always good to hear because it's been 352 weeks that the Vet Talk Show, Guam Vet Talk Show, has been going on.
Is that how long? 352 weeks?
I calculated it, and
That's a lot of years.
25 years
Yeah.
at 52 weeks. Yeah, can you recount that?
It's
It might be
25
more.
years times 52.
Each
Is that what you're
once
saying?
a week, yes.
Yeah.
That's-
Oh, once a yeah, that's not 50.
See.
Oh, once a yeah. Okay, 52 times 25 years.
Yes.
That's what we're. Oh, you wanted me to do it? Okay.
No, anybody. You know,
Well, no,
I calculated.
I'm the only one not
3
wearing glasses here. So I guess
love
that's
your
my
eyelashes.
job. Oh, thank you.
Your eyes are so becoming.
You know, it's becoming really a pain in the butt, is what it's becoming. 1,300.
Oh, and I said 350, so it's 1,000.
300.
We should have
Not
a party.
years, but
We
the-
should have a party. A party at our house. Celebrate.
You don't
We
have power. What are you doing inviting people to your house?
Oh, that's right. Thank you, GPA. No power at Tita, no power for
Hey,
anyone.
if you're frying fish, I'm there. How was your fish run last week, by the way?
It was very minimal.
Oh, darn. Yeah.
It was we went out, took a right, they went left.
Oh, darn.
I said, they're too fast to catch.
Mm.
But I
It'll
managed.
happen. It'll happen.
Oh,
We
yeah.
will have a fish fry.
Yeah.
We will have a fish
Yeah,
fry.
I didn't want to go up there because I wanted you guys to build up an inventory of fish. I don't want to like go up there and start taking fish from you. Literally, I only need 3. But I'm just saying. I'm saying that I know that you offer a lot of people. You know, I tend to stand in the back of the line when things like that happen.
You know, at this point in time,
Yeah.
if we catch fish and the word is out to the people of Guam, what I've been doing for the last 72 years.
Yeah.
I've been fishing for 72 years since I was just a little boy.
Yeah.
If you hear I caught fish, come down and
Yeah, buy it.
get
though.
some.
I think you should buy it. So
If you want to donate to the What's
Yeah.
Happening Now John Titano Foundation, because what? I have to pay annuities.
He spends $1.53 every month on somebody's supplemental annuity.
But you multiply that to how many residential homes.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
a
that's
lot
a
of
lot.
money.
That's a lot.
That's
of
a
money.
lot.
That's a lot.
And
of
it's been
money.
going on since 2013. Calculate that, 2013.
Oh,
2013.
Lord have
2012.
mercy, this guy. I don't know.
No, we're
Carry
not
one
even
divided
gonna
by
go
We-
there.
I don't even know. There's an X factor here. I don't know how many consumers there are.
Exactly.
GPA customers there are. But
Just
we should
like-
probably be able to call them like Darling Titano and ask her. She'll probably have the answer. Like
Darling
what does
Titano?
Talling.
Talling.
So we can probably
be
ask her,
related.
and she would have an answer as to how much that
And
how
how
much
long
they'll
is this
consume.
going to go on? Are we paying for the retirement?
Until the law changes. Until the law changes and we don't have to do it anymore. But there are other agencies. Well, maybe I know that for sure GWA does. I don't know if the other agencies.
Well,
do.
that was one of the constituencies when they became autonomous.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're autonomous now, so take care of your business.
They are charging you
They're
$1.53.
Yeah, really, man. That's my business now. I'm upset.
Well, the unfortunate thing is, unless you live in GGO and don't have a reason to pay your bill, I
Right.
can't see GWA disconnecting somebody who lives in GGO that's affected and
Yeah.
on the roster of consumers that are affected.
Well, that water lens feeds everybody down to Melissa.
I get it, but I think
so
that
everybody's
they have,
affected.
Yeah, I think that they have a list,
And fire everybody involved from the top that knew about it since 2022.
Annuity, accountability.
Oh.
I got it. I'm hitting it. I'm with you. I'm with you, Uncle Johnny. I'm hearing you.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to start off with Patty's.
Well, I'm doing that because I'm scared to talk. Because the last time I did that at 10 o'clock in the morning, you accused me of cutting into your time that I'm still getting paid for. So I don't want to you have to pay for my salary because I went into your 2 minutes of your morning.
How about a case of Coke? I'm slick.
Coke.
I'll get you a case down and right
I
down.
know a guy down there that might be able to.
Love it.
I think I know a guy.
Hey.
Actually, ask Dice.
I got
Dice
you.
has got some
Yeah,
hookups.
we got some
Wow, you
plugs.
got connects?
We got connects. We've been working around the building. We try. We've been
All right,
charming.
look.
No.
We've been
No.
charming.
Working around the building
Working around
and
the building.
harassing your fellow employees with the. Yeah, she does these things. She does these things on social media. On Instagram and
Say
used to see it on
goodbye,
Facebook.
Patty.
She walks around and she points the camera at people.
Say
and
goodbye,
wait a minute, and
Patty.
she gives them a whole. I don't know. It's just all of this. And what she's got questions and
I do.
little known facts about stuff that to the point that when she comes around, they're like, not again, Dice. Like, Dice, not now. And there's
Raw footage. It's
go
as raw as it
find
can
her.
be.
Go
Yeah.
find her on Facebook or on
stuff.
Instagram because they're really. So she makes friends with all of the people that we don't get to see.
Yeah.
So she's our hookup for the drinks.
Go home, Patty.
I am.
The
I'm
morale
on my
is
way.
high.
Yeah.
Spicy.
So it's exactly 10
Okay.
o'clock, and we're going to make room for our
Okay,
folks from
here
Vet
we go.
Talk. And, of course, you can catch Polly Suba this afternoon at 2 o'clock until 6. We are Mornings with Patty. I'm Patty.
I'm Dice
It's
Guam.
10 a.m. KGUM FM and Daddy to Guam. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, Dice. Mwah.
Thank you, Patty. Viva Guam.